I think that they would still stick with what has been the theme of the tournament right now, which is to center around very influential picks such as the Ash that has been very good in supplementing the side lanes. It's always the side lane meta. Yesterday we saw Chaz dominating on the Chazix, and now facing against NGX, we all know that Just She has a very, very bad Lee Sin. Bad in a good way, right? So
Yeah.
when we talk about those two champions, exactly. When we talk about those two champions, when we talk about these two players, Just She versus Chaz, who will be able to get the early game advantage? Because more often than not, whoever gets the early game advantage would be able to catapult his team onto a victory.
And speaking of catapulting, well, in terms of first pick pry, we might see an Atos being available here for NGX unless they would opt to get a different champion. Because Gwen, for the first time ever, is open as well. NGX going to be picking up the Aatrox instead, so 300 can still get this champion.
Yeah, and Gwen is a Chaz champion, and also could easily be played by Helios and Tatsuri. The former duo of Chaz and Helios as the two-headed dragons for 300 has now elevated themselves to a three-headed dragon with the addition of Tatsuri. So this is going to just be very scary, and right on cue, that will be a heavy priority on that Gwen. Another Galio performance, or another Galio showing for Exosen himself. 2 games yesterday. He was so good.
The combination of the Gwen and the Galio, double pentagram. Never mind, it's a circle, as commented by.
I don't think that's a good logo. I mean, what?
No, never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, double triangle. NGX though, going with the pretty OP, or at least a very, very effective Senna Gragas for their Dragon Lane. So scaling wise, this is actually pretty good picks coming in from Nigma Galaxy, the Aatrox from mid to late game, the Senna in the late game, Gragas for the disengage, and even the initiating part here for their team fights. 300, they have to respond accordingly here because most of their picks actually focusing more on engage.
Yep. For me, this is like, you know, an NGX lineup that we are accustomed in seeing. They want draw to be on the engage, on an engaged champion, and Gragas is that, right? Once you have a Senna Gragas, all you have to really do is to make sure that this Gragas gets all the resources in the early game, which means that draw might elect for, you know, a very early route of HS that will be their AP damage source. Remember, you know, when talking about NGX, draw, his tendencies to use his flash aggressively is very well documented. So we're going to see if this Gragas by draw would be on the same caliber, on the same level as what we saw earlier for McKenna. 300 though,
wow,
another Ziggs pickup for them, which is also a big pickup because this is a marquee champion.
And this poses a lot of threats once more. It solidifies their damage capability for team fights. Oh, this is a strong combo. Gwen going in, Galio following up, Riven as well going in, then Morgan is just going to be throwing out that Mega Inferno Bomb. And JX is going to be responding with a Wukong in which Aaron has used in their game number 1 against Fennel adversities. They're going to be trying it out and even getting the Zed as well for the jungle. So early game wise, well, this is going to be quite helpful for NGX to at least attempt them in getting that early game advantage. With 300 overall, with their last pick, Renekton. Oh, this is an all-in dive comp by 300. Definitely a mindset of a Spartan here against NGX. They would definitely need it in this game.
We'll see. Well, I'm also looking into the laning aspect of things. We're talking about Helios here, now facing against his former Baron laner in Hyde. So that will be interesting if we will be seeing Renekton on Helios facing against, you know, an Aatrox, which is a matchup that we've seen numerous times. Also, another thing to note for NGX, if this Wukong goes to the hands of Just G, I feel like it's too passive for his playstyle. I don't remember Just Chi having a very memorable performance on the Zed, but I could be wrong. This could be something to refresh me and my memory that Just Chi is also a big beast on this champion, but this is kind of expected. we have to expect just she on the damage side of things. Aaron will be on the utility side. The engage on this Wukong. And again, Hyde, the newcomer for NGX, formerly of Team RRQ, would be on Aatrox.
I'm kind of excited on this because NGX and 300 are going with their comfort picks. NGX in particular, Zed and the Wukong here for Just Chi and Aaron. In their game yesterday, they had a pretty much stomp against their respective opponent. And 300 with this kind of trap, this is very much suiting on their character and in their playstyle. So going all in terms of laning phase, like what you mentioned though. So Aatrox versus the Gwen. Pretty much gonna be a scaling battle here for both a Baron laner Zed versus I've got the matchup though here for our junglers. But in retrospect, NGX kind of opted a little bit in their early game presence with the Zed pick, and some team fighting already for their early game with the Wukong. So I think 300 might need to play it out a little bit safe in the early game, at least for the first 5 minutes. What about you?
It really depends. Again, when talking about NGX, they just defy logic and the expectations of most casters, because they will be on the aggression. They would be aggressive. I tell you that, right? If it's a non-kill game, or if it's a 0-kill game in the first 5 minutes, that's not NGX that you're watching, ladies and gents. So remember what they did to Fennel Adversity just yesterday. They know that they have the upper hand when it comes to mechanics, when it comes to preparation. And again, huge shout out to, of course, the support staff of both these teams. We have Coach TG on the other side. We have Coach Kaigu, two of the, I would say, the most storied players that we have from the Philippines in the League of Legends PH scene. So we're just waiting for the first game to commence, and here we go. Young, we have NGX versus the 300 game number 1.
And go we shall. NGX versus 300. There you go. It is going to be the Renekton in the Baron lane. Yep, that's it's my bad. Hyde on his Aatrox versus Helios' Renekton. And this is something that we actually have seen not only in the previous game, but even yesterday. You know, when you have an Aatrox, it sometimes gets, struggles a little bit in the early game, mid lane though. That's really going ham on Aaron. But like how I mentioned, Aatrox does struggle a little bit in the early game. So having the support help out Demon Kite on the Senna, this gives so much stability for I to at least not get bullied here by Helios.
And also expected, right? You have the Senna leaving draw to farm as much gold and farm as much XP on the bot lane, which will most likely go and build AP damage items, because there's no AP damage source from NGX. The 300 though is, I would say, very diverse when it comes to damage profile. Tatsuri.
Wow. Oh, flashes in an NGX! Aaron does not hesitate, secures first blood here against the 300. Wow, I mean, I didn't even expect that to happen, but Aaron double fake out against Tatsuri. I mean, Tatsuri a while ago was going ham on him, going aggressive, under the tower, poking in and out, but then Aaron missed a bit all, became sick of it, and wanted to just get that first blood done with for NGX.
Ruby Crystal start, by the way, for this Wukong. And in that trade, or in that series of trade, that's actually a huge blow against Tatsuri. It's not yet over when it comes to this laning phase, but that would definitely help Aaron get some space for himself in the mid lane as we look into some potential engage. On the top side of the map, we are seeing Demon Kite getting stats over and over again. 2 people from NGX going for Grasp of the Undying, making sure that on the scaling department, they won't be left behind.
We're seeing Just Chi, hovering a little bit on the top side, just in case 300 makes a bit of a mistake attempting to engage onto Demon Kite and Hyde. But reflecting a little bit on that mid lane fight, Aaron actually does still have his barriers. So in terms of stability in the lane, he is actually doing a really good job here against Tatsuri, which used the Ignite in the previous fight. Just Chi is hovering towards top side, while Exosen is just watching him. For the meantime, guarding the area, was asking a little bit of help here from Chaz to assist them in this top side potential fight, but given the pace of the game, I don't think they are actually going to be engaging onto each other just yet.
And remember when I said, you know, that this is not going to be an NGX game if it's a 0-0 game. By the 5-minute mark, it just goes to show that, you know, once they see an opening for a kill, they would go for it here on the solo kill in the mid lane. And again, the threat of the potential dive high was able to cancel. Ooh, that's a very interesting interaction. The Umbral chains canceling out. What? Okay, so that's cute.
My eyes glitched out for a little bit there as well. I was confused what happened to XSM, but okay. That's a bit odd.
It was
and
already on the way
I
to
believe.
Flyer. I mean, it's easy to say that it was just canceled out, but you know, a funny interaction nonetheless. 1 minute and 30 seconds before the first objective comes in the 5v5 fights. I would favor, of course, you have a very good balance here with NGX. You have the assassination threat coming from Just Chi, a very formidable frontline in Aatrox and Gragas. But you know, when we're talking about the 5v5s here, 300 and NGX, I feel that 300 just has a slight edge over NGX.
Yeah, because their comp is more, you know, linear. Go in, throw all your skills, and hope. Oh, there you go. Marky, spring a little bit that he doesn't die from that death mark, and he does live. Joshi is quite low. Sends out that Dawning, like to at least try to save the shadows. The Zed will just go back towards base. NGX a little bit over ambitious there against the 300. That allowed 300 to get 1 kill out of NGX.
It was all on Just Chi though, going aggressive onto Marky, and Marky not even burning his flash, just the exhaust to negate the damage potential from Just Chi. And guess who was right there at the right place at the right time? It was Tetsuri, now evening his score to 1-1, and is now back on track. This is actually a very interesting 5-minute fight then, because some of the ultimates are not available. Tetsuri's ultimate's not available, meanwhile Just Chi is just well on its way.
Yeah, Chaz, I don't think he is going to be starting this Ocean Dragon up, because NGX, they are starting the Rift Herald. Looks like 300 is just going to be having an agreement here between NGX to trade objectives, no contest, at least the intent here for both teams to interfere with their objective taking. NGX will have a little bit of a pushing advantage towards top side, and that can actually give High Athletics at least a little bit of gold. 300 with the Ocean Dragon though should allow them to get a bit of sustain. So in terms of scaling, that might what 300 is looking for here in this game.
Yep, of course, the late game champion Gwen is 10 times better than the Zed on the other side of the map. So you would say, or it's easy to say that, you know, if you're Kaigo, you'd be happy with that trade. Getting that extra sustain onto your late game champions should be the goal here, because by the time that it reaches the late game, I would say that, you know, the lineup of 300 here is very promising.
Yeah, especially with the Gwen pick. Late game Gwen is always scared. No matter how tanky you are, you're gonna get shredded and snipped into pieces. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Donning Shadow gonna be you, Chad's gonna get obliterated. It's still the early game. Gwen is still very, very squishy and easy to kill. Aaron gonna be looking to get that kill. Onto Thatcher even flashing in, as Marky is a little bit late. Aaron is very low, but sends out a Hero's Entrance here for Marky to have a backup. But in retrospective, NGX already has taken quite a lot of kills. That body slam and a flash draw is just so aggressive here. Sends out Aaron, and that Q is just gonna get them the kill onto the Ziggs. Aaron will trade his life for it. That is a bloodbath here in the bottom lane, but I think NGX still got most out of it.
NGX aggression, my god! Again, the team that defies logic at the early parts of the game, they were able to successfully dive a 3v2 scenario. That's a given. But with how Aaron played the last part of that fight, you could easily understand why I'm saying, you know, that NGX just has a different side of aggression in them, right? 300 didn't expect Aaron to just go very aggressive, and with the help of Draw's damage that was unlocked by him getting all the resources because of this fasting Senna, it was just a fight that NGX was able to win. They were able to get a tower and is now 2k ahead of competition.
1.5 onto Aaron's side. Divine Sunderer. Oh, and well, 3-1-1 score for this Wukong. Definitely, it is what Aaron needs right now on his champion to at least get that leverage against Tatsuri. And well, since this is still just the early game, 300 on their lineup. We talked about their scaling. It is going to be very, very promising. But in the early game, we're seeing more of NGX's flavor in general. Early game aggression, team fight forcing, and them just beating down their opponent.
Yep. We saw this from their game yesterday against Penal University. We saw this multiple times during their run with WCA, and I do understand, there is a big difference now from now to then, because yes, the last time that we saw them in a tournament, they were playing and fielding Chami that is unfortunately cannot join them because of age restrictions. But it's been the same concept. Their aggression would unlock their playstyle, and will just elevate their status from a perennial contender to really favorites over and over again.
It's kind of like NGX being that team that always goes ham against their opponent, always go forward, always dominates in the early game. And it's hard actually to contest those kinds of teams, because some teams actually opt to just scale out in the early game or try to avoid fights. NGX, they don't have that in their mindset. They like going for kills. They like going for ganks. Even Aaron a while ago, 1v1 against the Riven. Comparing to the past games that we have seen a while ago for today, I remember G10 and I having a bit of a bad experience seeing the Wukong in the games because it mostly turns out into a lose. But in this game, NGX with this Wukong, Aaron with a first blood, and now having 3-1-1 says otherwise. NGX, just like what you mentioned, likes to defy logic, and logic has definitely been defied, at least for the first few minutes of this game.
Logic has left the game. That's basically it for NGX. And again, for Aaron, this Wukong is the most underrated aspect of a Wukong is the damage potential of the champion when accelerated. I remember back in the day, I've been building this champion as a burst type of champion with all the buffs that he received in the previous patches that we do have. It's still very possible for that 100-0 threat coming from that Wukong. Oftentimes we see Wukong as the utility champion, as the one that engages. But imagine this: if your Wukong is so fed that he can go and be not just be a nuisance to your carries, but also a kill threat to your backline, things just becomes more and more complicated for you and for the 300. As we look into the state of the game before the pause, I looked at the gold graph, I looked at the gold stats, and Aaron was 2k ahead of Tatsuri. So that just means that that matchup between Riven and Wukong has already been decided. Wukong would be getting the better end of things over and over again, at least in game number 1.
And I think it was just a few gold away from securing a potential death dance. 2 items at 7 minutes, 8 minutes into the game. That is a huge lead against a composition that relies on their AD champions in the early game. Imagine how much damage you are going to be able to negate in the next upcoming team fights, since they did have the priority with the Rift Herald. Next up, most probably they're going to be attempting to take both objectives, like the Dragon and the Rift Herald. That's just how NGX
big of a
just plays.
lead that they got. Did they use? I'm kind of trying to remember if they used the Rift Herald on the bot lane. I don't think so.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so they did. So that means that they have to work their way in getting the mid lane tower, but that basically is the signal of the end of the 300. If the next objective to hold down will be the mid lane tower for NGX, we all know how good they are in controlling quadrants of the map. We all know that if NGX is far ahead of competition, they will make sure that your buffs will be their buffs too. So yeah, we'll see. One thing to note though, it wasn't the best start for Just Cheese Z. Again, I haven't There is really no
Yeah.
game that I can remember that just cheap off this champion. I kind of wanted to, be reminded of his caliber in this champion. Because oftentimes I see it on Iron.
Uh-huh.
Even Chami was also on Z duty, I believe, at least one time during their run. So it's kind of interesting that they wanted to go for Z with just Chi, but so far it hasn't been impressive, I would say, but
Yeah.
it's still effective.
I mean, he did quite a bit of an oopsie in the I believe it was a 4 minute mark, engage onto Marky onto the Ziggs, but unfortunately got taken down instead. And well, kudos to NGX not getting negatively affected by that. And even after that, they got a couple of kills trading out with just she once more dying, but 300 or NGX rather, with this kind of playstyle, with this kind of lead, we focused a little bit more on what's happening in the mid lane, what's happening in the jungle, what's happening in the bot side fight. But in the Baron lane, Hyde is just having the best time of his life, farming out as an Aatrox without any pressure. And this has been like the pattern, even in today's games. When the Aatrox gets the farming life that he wants for the first like 10 minutes, 12 minutes into the game, late game, he's gonna be a monster. And we saw even in the previous series how obnoxious the sustain of an Aatrox can be. Where in fact you think you would be able to kill him, he's low HP, like a quarter of his health remaining, but one Q just puts his HP back to 100. That's how dangerous an Aatrox can be with items.
I actually wanted to see a 1v1 scenario between him and Helios, but I think we have to wait on that because at least so far in the first few minutes, I didn't really do it by himself. He was easily helped out by the range of Demon Kite. This Senna has been, the unlocking factor of Hyde's Aatrox. And you're right, a late game Aatrox is still very scary. It's a champion that may not be on the caliber of Jax's late game, but still is a threat to 300's late game nonetheless. On the other side, though, again, we still have to tip our hat to the scaling of 300. They have three very good scaling champions. You have the Ziggs, you have the Gwen, and also the Riven, so it's not yet over.
Ooh, body slam though gonna be connecting as Joshi looks to funnel all that damage on to Chaz and quickly obliterates this Gwen, but draw actually is a little bit low. Megan Fernabob missing a little bit by a margin there on that damage. Good job by Demon Kite on the sustain, on the help there for their other members. Allows them to secure that one kill for absolutely no trades.
And look at draw. 2 items completed, Warmog's armor as his second choice, which means that he's going to regen the hell out of his HP. No need to go back, and is now ready for action once again with 2 buffs available to him. NGX, after getting the advantage bot side, now surprised Chaz on the top lane. And this is how NGX was, this is how NGX plays. They're going to control your jungle, and we do know that the highlight player for the 300 is their jungler. So Chaz being controlled here is basically a bane to 300's chances to win this game.
Oh, imagine being crippled, being the one that actually has one of the most potential to threaten a late game, but now struggling so much. 0-2 already, 1,000 down to your respective opponent jungler, which is Just Cheat. That is a tough mountain to climb here for Chaz or the 300 in general. Early game has been quite difficult for them. So how do you think they should be opting to adjust themselves? Should they force fights on a lane? Should they play it a little bit backwards? Should they give objectives for the first few minutes?
No, I don't think so. Again, it's all about making sure that by the time that they go over aggressive, that you will be prepared in going for the counter engage. That's also one of the strengths that we did see from the 300 yesterday against G2B. G2B was so aggressive the early parts of the game, was able to get some wins during the early parts of game number 1. But ultimately, the experience advantage of their 300 was able to help them, catapult and get that counter punch ready for the killing blow. That's basically why I think that this the 300 still has the means to win this. It's a lot harder now just because of the series of very aggressive, successful plays by NGX. But it's not yet over.
Yeah, I can recall the game that you and Osaka casted yesterday of 300 and G2 Blacklist. G2 Blacklist kind of controlled a little bit in the early game with a surprising Nasus of Ciliat as well in the mid lane, but 300 having that utmost discipline and I guess control in the game as well as their mental state, allowing them to at least mitigate the amount of lead that their opponent can get away from them, and then slowly turning the tides around as the minutes go by. This is something that they can actually do as well here against Nigma Galaxy. It can be challenging, but looking at the gold so far here in this game, it's not really that much troubling. 2000 is at like 8 minutes into the game, isn't really that much of a big deal. It's maybe in terms of the funneling, since most of it is a little bit on Aaron, since he does have a lot of kills, but in average or in total here for both teams, well, 300, I think they can still like scale out a little bit and not be bothered that much by what's happening.
Dear Summoners, in the coming Wild Rift League Asia tournament, we will get a brand new UI update for the Spectre mode. The new integrated UI design provides a better game watching experience with a simple picture and more intuitive information alongside the vivid visual effects. Firstly, we move the original UI information at the top bar and make it into a functional ring design in the upper left corner. The ring not only contains the basic information of the current match, such as the team names, in-game time, number of scales and towers pushed, but also displays the gold count on the red and blue rings so you can see the gold difference at the gallons. What is a great game without the competition for map resources? When a team takes the elemental dragon's buff, the cool map visual effects stick out. The distinctive buff color blocks for each different elemental dragon will be added to the blue or the red side. You can tell whoever takes the Rift Herald to enhance the temple, kills Baron Nashor to increase the lead, or steals the Elder Dragon to secure the game. The countdown special effects for different resources will also help viewers to what is going on in the game and capture the critical information. Additionally, we reshaped the map on the upper right corner. It is easier now to read the simplified map resource icons. The champion cursor now intuitively demonstrates the team tactics, makes it easier for you to track the champion's movements. The most essential in-game stats will be presented by switching between these three enriched panels: farming mode, pre and post teamfight mode, and teamfight mode. In farming mode, we have the key information of players' prospectively play, lane section, champion selection, summoner spell, champion's level, and experience. In laning phase, it comes with real-time gold income, KDA, and champion's build. In pre and post teamfight mode, we can see the goal difference on the board. The gap on each lane can be easily tracked by differentiating the item builds before and after the team fight. In teamfight mode, we only present the concise real-time stats of 10 players' teamfight damage and comparison, so that the viewers can focus on the gameplay by our players. A more compact and intuitive UI design will soon be available to all the summoners at Wild Rift League Asia, and the thrilling League of Legends Handicap Asia League is ready to go. Dear summoners, get online! Dear Summoners, in the coming Wild Rift League Asia tournament, we will get a brand new UI update for the Spectre mode. The new integrated UI design provides a better game watching experience with a simple picture and more intuitive information alongside the vivid visual effects. Firstly, we move the original UI information at the top bar and make it into a functional ring design in the upper left corner. The ring not only contains the basic information of the current match, such as the team names, in-game time, number of scales and towers pushed, but also displays the gold count on the red and blue rings so you can see the gold difference at the gallons. What is a great game without the competition for map resources? When a team takes the elemental dragon's buff, the cool map visual effects stick out. The distinctive buff color blocks for each different elemental dragon will be added to the blue or the red side. You can tell whoever takes the Rift Herald to enhance the temple, kills Baron Nashor to increase the lead, or steals the Elder Dragon to secure the game. The countdown special effects for different resources will also help viewers to what is going on in the game and capture the critical information. Additionally, we reshaped the map on the upper right corner. It is easier now to read the simplified map resource icons. The champion cursor now intuitively demonstrates the team tactics, makes it easier for you to track the champion's movements. The most essential in-game stats will be presented by switching between these three enriched panels: Farming Mode, Pre- and Post-Teamfight Mode, and Teamfight Mode. In Farming Mode, we have the key information of players' prospectively play, lane section, champion selection, summoner spell, champion's level, and experience. In laning phase, it comes with real-time gold income, KDA, and champion's build. In pre- and post-teamfight mode, we can see the goal difference on the board. The gap on each lane can be easily tracked by differentiating the item builds before and after the team fight. In team fight mode, we only present the concise real-time stats of 10 players' team fight damage and comparison, so that the viewers can focus on the gameplay.
Alright, and welcome back to the Wild Rift League Asia Open Qualifier. Going back from the short break due to that technical difficulty in game number 1. But we are now going to be continuing, and it's now almost 10 minutes into the game. And like what we mentioned, yeah, this is going to be a tough one, but NGX and 300 still going to go ham on each other.
And since we're already at the 10-minute mark, Rift Herald was already secured by NGX, another positive for them. But remember, before we left before we went on break, I believe NGX was able to secure a 2k gold lead, which still is very similar to what they have right now. But 300 is already showing some signs of life, securing some kills for themselves as well. So we'll see how this is going to pan out.
Especially that, well, Dragon is, in terms of Dragon stacks, you know, they already have a scaling one, the Ocean Dragon. Rift Herald, though, might be a posing problem here for them, since Nigma Galaxy can use it somewhere to at least draw attention towards the 300, as the Mountain Dragon is available for the taking. Like how we talked about earlier, Nigma Galaxy, given their state of the game, or given how aggressive they can be, they can actually do this. Using the Rift Herald in the mid lane, while they can actually start the Mountain Dragon.
Yep.
Ooh, 300, 299.
Yeah. Just one less of their team name. Yeah. I don't think it was enough though. Yeah, the Rift Herald wasn't enough to secure that tower, but the pressure is on Exosen with Engage.
Double taunt, sends out that Dawning Shadow, at least gain some resistance here on the side of Nigma Galaxy, but now they are actually forced a little bit back. That body slam by Draw is immediately punished as he's obliterated in an instant, but here comes Aaron doing some damage with Marky, still able to send out those bombs, which is starting to be a problem here by Nigma Galaxy. Now 2 members down, 300, they have the advantage and the position to actually maybe at least start this Mountain Dragon. Just She, though, is not letting them get this so far. But actually, Demon Kai says, no, let's fall back for now.
Yeah, there's no reason for them to try and contest this one out. Just She's ultimate still not available. Remember, he tried to use it in the mid lane to get that advantage. I believe it was against Helios, and now again you're seeing the counter punches from 300. NGX aggression finally got punished, and 300 gets the reward of 2 scaling dragons. You have the Mountain Dragon, the Ocean Dragon, and for me the bigger value here is the Mountain Dragon, because it just gives them extra shield, extra sustainability against the all-in burst potential of Just Chi and Hyde.
And looking at how that teamfight actually happened, Draw going in with a body slam, Exosen with a 2-man taunt with a Shield of the Run. Nigma Galaxy, despite their attempt going all in onto the 300, they're the ones who actually got punished, especially that Marky was experiencing 0 threats in the backline. That is gonna be a big problem for Nigma Galaxy, since most of them are focusing onto Chaz. They're gonna be attempting here in the top side river, but I don't think they should even try for the meantime, given the numbers advantage here of the 300.
It's basically what's going to be the theme of the 300, right? They're not going to let Marky be approached upon by any members of NGX. Marky is so proficient in this champion, so good in his skill shots on the Ziggs. And I believe this like, no cap or no exaggeration. I believe this like the 1000th game of Marky on this champion. So, or maybe even more. It's just match made in heaven. There's an
Dominus.
engage again.
Yeah, nice flank here on the Demon Kai, forced a little bit back. Donic Shadow gonna be used for the extra sustain, but Chaz still doing some work here in the front line. They need to be very careful of the damage here of Tatsuri. Mega Inferno Up deals so much in the back line as Hyde looks to at least do some work here in the front line for NGX as well. Now here comes the turnaround redemption for the extra sustain, but 300 still poses even more. Tatsuri not scared at all, but maybe they need to, as Joshi is doing work in the backside. 3 for 2 so far. NGX stands stronger.
And again, I was so ready to say it was a 300 win. Just finding the right angle to get that quite sexy on that one too, because I believe he played with his shadows just to make sure that he can juke out most of the members of 300, and getting that kill onto Helios in the process was actually a good momentum breaker for the side of NGX. However, 300 still overall, that's a net positive for them. They were able to take down the mid lane tower and their tower tower of their own. And on the top side, look at this. Tatsuri now is on even footing when it comes to the gold department. My god. Remember when I said that Tatsuri was 2k behind Aaron?
Yeah.
Well, now it's
gone. Absolutely gone. And kudos here to Tatsuri on his tenacity. But now, that is a big burst onto Chaz. Quickly obliterated within a second as Nigma Galaxy looks to get more. That is the Galio of Exocen falling down as well. No objectives available for the meantime. Maybe not just the Baron. Yeah, Baron is just waiting for them. 300. I think they can do anything from this. Tatsuri does have the ultimate, but it doesn't really deal that much damage compared to the Smite. NGX, just the timing is impeccable with this team.
I know, and this is what we're talking about when talking about NGX. The fights won't happen on the lanes. The fights won't necessarily happen during the objectives. It would happen right before an objective takedown because NGX wants to invade your jungle, and 300 has to do better in anticipating this advances from NGX, because just by how Chaz was positioned as well as Exocen, the game just broke open in the favor of NGX. Some things that Kaigu won't be happy about, I know, but it still is, I would say, a winnable game for 300 overall. But kudos to NGX with their very aggressive playstyle.
Yeah, very aggressive indeed as they attempt once more with Joshi using that death mark on the Chaz. I think Chaz is so much being pressured right now with all those potential engaged by Nigma Galaxy, and even forced to use his ultimate just to answer back with a threat or a haymaker of his own. Now the Baron is doing so much work across the map. Top lane push, mid lane push, bottom side push by Aaron. All these outer turrets are being taken down and none is standing up anymore. Well, top side is still standing, but not for long as Hyde is doing work there with Demon Kite. And look at the goal lead. It's starting to be out of hand here for the 300. A while ago, they're the ones actually going up by 2,000. Now, looking at how much NGX has pulled off, that is a 7,000 in just like 4 minutes, 3 minutes. That is huge.
The Baron power play of NGX is just so good, as we see a last-ditch effort from the 300 to get something out of nothing. They would be getting the head of this Wukong, but look at the base of the 300. Tower broken down in the mid lane, inhibitor down, ladies and gents. And on the top side, less than 300 held on that tower. NGX now has the advantage overall when it comes to map pressure, but 300 doesn't want to wait for that advantage to come into fruition. They want to get this third drag, which could be their win condition. 3 dragons would definitely help them.
Yep, at least in the scaling game, they're doing tremendous work. 300, not that much being contested with this Infernal Dragon. But
No
on
way.
the side lanes, I think all inhibitor towers are now
Zero.
taken out. NGX is just... I mean, this is a pretty good trade, I would say. NGX, yeah, let's give it a dragon, but we have taken all inhibitor towers and
Yeah, you take
only
the dragon, I take
possibly
your base.
just the Baron. Yeah.
We're at the point though in where Wild Rift would have some inhibitor respawn to defend your base. But those inhibitors are so squishy, and I don't think we are at the time in where inhibitors would be respawning. Has to be past 21 minutes if I'm not mistaken. So 300 has to play the waiting game here. They have the defense minister, they have the Ziggs in their hands. But NGX, what they're waiting for right now is the Baron, because one more Baron would basically mean that 300 won't have enough wave clear to really crash down the minions that will be sent over by NGX.
Yeah.
This looks like, a win for NGX overall, and another aggressive play coming from Just Chi.
Dawning Shadow being used. I mean, Just Chi does have a Guardian Angel, and a few seconds from now, they can get both the Baron and the Elder Dragon,
Right.
since it is gonna be spawning in the next 22 seconds. Chad, despite his efforts, Hyde
That's
is
a
just too
jungler.
tanky, and high sustain as well. And since he is in the bottom side, NGX says like, thank you, I guess. Exocen is gonna be trying to at least interfere, but I don't think he can actually do anything. Might be
MIB?
imposed to. Oh, never
Marky!
mind. Marky for 3 and gets the basket with the Baron. NGX, they do get a consolation prize with Exosen's head, but 300, they have bought themselves some time at the very least.
Elder Dragon for the taking. 2 members. No, check that. 1 member down for the side of 300, but I would take this trade actually, because the best win condition for NGX is for them to get the Baron. Marky denied and gave them an opportunity,
Dominus?
but right now there's a turn.
Yeah, Aaron is quite low though. So many stasis being used with his own
300,
hourglass,
my
but 300 is starting to fight back. Throw back some punches as Jazz is still very much healthy compared here to Hyde, which is very, very low in HP already. 300, they're attempting to turn the tides to do what is very difficult to do here against NGX. Despite
Joshi?
all odds, they get both the Baron and the Elder Dragon. What is happening in this game?
This is a 3-dragon Elder Dragon, and look at that. A click, clack, boom moment for Marky. One-shotting, one-tapping Demon Kite in the process. And 300 just basically might have done it, Giyang. This is an insurmountable lead maybe for others, but for 300, the Spartan blood runs through their veins and would be clutching it out with a potential win here, Giyang.
Yeah, they're gonna be attempting to end this game. NGX, they have 4 members. Without Demon Kite, they don't have that much to stay. 300 still has this Elder Dragon buff and is obliterating absolutely everybody in their faces. NGX might be defeating Logic, but D300 defeats all odds.
God, their clutch gene. I don't know where they're coming, where they're getting all this late game plays that should make sense. And again, the 300 with no inhibitor turrets, with no inhibitors available for them, was able to get the medal of the comeback. Did you know that in Wild Rift you can actually get a medal for the comeback? That's what happens whenever you get back from this whole no inhibitor turrets, and if you win. It's a very rare occurrence. I was able to get it once with Infinity, but outside of that, one time, I was able to get that at all. But as we look into the highlights again, what a game!
What a game indeed. Yeah, that's pretty much how we can describe it. I mean, NGX started really strong, getting those ganks. I mean, Joshi had a bit of a hard time, 0-2 in the very early game, but he made it really work in the mid to late game. But things just got a little bit weird, In the last part of that game, all inhibitors dead, a timing for NGX to get that Baron, an attempt with Chaz actually in the bottom lane, but Marky with that Mega Inferno bomb with Exocen interfering in that Baron pit, everything took chances for D300. It's basically the Spartan life here for D300. Them getting that, plus the Elder Dragon. NGX, I think they did not expect D300 to be fighting that way.
no one would expect. I mean, the very first thing that you did say, again, the saving grace for the side of the 300 was Marky's Mega Inferno Bomb, getting that Baron, buying them enough time. And again, with the Baron empowered minions that you have in the base, you basically just leave one person to defend the Mega Minions coming from NGX. And not only that, one of the underrated aspects of getting the Purple Worm buff is the enhanced recall. This was actually the cheeky play coming from Just Sheen, and you did say that, you know, Just Sheen did have his struggles during the early parts of the game. But the most defining moment of this game was actually the Baron Seal, which we will definitely see over and over again in the highlight place.
Oh my gosh, this is definitely a highlight of a game, especially for 300. They experience hell in this game, especially Chaz. I mean, getting engaged, getting obliterated so many times, and that part. Oh my gosh, Marky, you are a miracle of a player. 1,000 of a game on this champion, like what you said. Definitely, you know, mastery with repetition comes mastery, and definitely it was needed in this game in that moment, and it just came into places here for 300.
I tell you, if we have Guma Yusi from Korea, we have Guma Marky
Guma
from
Marky.
the Philippines. From the Philippines. What a way to get that comeback. It's a very uplifting and moral uplifting win for the side of the 300, but I would still say, you know, it's not the cleanest early game. It's kind of expected though, because NGX is just so good executing the early game invades to a point that it can really throw off your win condition. But we saw that game was more of NGX game to lose than 300 games to win, right? NGX was just really in the best position possible to win that game. As you said, there's a miracle worker called Marky, Guma Marky himself. Was just able to get that. Yeah, was able to just get that Baron play.
Oh, definitely a well-deserved MVP here. KDA on point, kill participation 71%, and a very, very memorable Baron steal.
How would they, you know, reset or basically calm themselves down? Because that was a very tilting game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, definitely. That could actually even shake the mental state of any sort of team. NGX being a team that does have a strong mental state, I think they can recover from this, though it could be quite frustrating, especially given that game should have been in their hands already, and 300 just nitpicked it away from them, stole it away from them like a candy from a little boy. And now, moving on to the blue side, they have first pick priority. And look at the response here of NGX. Taking away both the Aatrox and the Gwen. They don't want those champions heading down towards 300.
Yeah, I mean, Chaz is still a beast on all these champions. Even that Fiora can actually easily be flexed over to Chaz. But we have to remember that Chaz still has the Chazix. Not first pick worthy, though, because we all know that Just Chi does have a very mean Lee Sin in his disposal. So that means that there is this champion that we saw from Helios yesterday, 2 games in a row on that Camille. 2 games in a row he played with Carl. And this is just going to be the focal point of the offense of the 300. We saw how Helios played this Camille yesterday. We're going to see if it will have the same amount of success against Hyde and NGX.
Good response with NGX. Yeah, similar champions being seen. Champions that we saw yesterday in their games now being picked up for game number 2. This is, again, an aggressive composition that NGX is opting to have for game number 2. Galio and Driven 300, yeah, with this Camille as Helios has utilizes so cleanly in their match yesterday against G2 Blacklist. Now paired up with the Karma, this is so much utility, mobility, and protection for team fighting that 300 has, especially now with the Gragas.
And this will be the first time, at least during the stage 2 qualifiers, that we will see Exosin on a different champion. Now he will be on the Gragas side, so there is a flip. Draw will be the one to play the Galio. And I basically have said that, you know, his Justice Punch would almost always come with a flash. And NGX is now taking away the Ziggs from Marky. Although, looking at the draft here by the 300, it might not really be their priority anymore. They said that, you know what, this lineup would work better with Karma. And now Ziggs is on the hands of Team Mankind. We're now entering the second phase of the banning stage here, Giyang, and Renekton has been banned away as the opening ban.
If NGX is cooking with a strategy in their hands, 300 has a different recipe for their strategy right now, with Karma pairing it up with the Camille and the Gragas. Looking at the bans, right, we're seeing those aggressive champions being taken away by both teams, as the Renekton and the Kha'Zix already removed here. But given the support, the Dragon Laners being picked up already here, that leaves just the mid lane and the jungler to be picked up here by both of the teams. And
we're still not sure of that, actually.
The Aaron.
We're still not sure if it's going to be the mid laner and the jungler being left open here. Remember, this is still flex picks. We're looking into the 300 and NGX. Riven can be played in the jungle. Even the Camille can be played by Chaz in the jungle. That's actually the beauty of watching this drafts unfold for both these teams. Their coaches have their own chess matches. We know Kaigo, we know TG. That been, teammates for long. And one way to really win the draft is by making sure that you don't get checked at the first few parts of the draft. And now NGX is basically saying, you know what, this Riven would go either on the Baron lane or the mid lane, because we are confident in Just G's ability to win the early game on that Lee Sin.
Double AP damage here on the side of the 300, since Corki deals 90% of his physical damage as AP. So that is a lot of AoE and poke as well here in the lineup of the 300 to contest that all-in burst of NGX. I guess when you're going up against a Titan, you would prefer to throw in a couple of things that can cripple that big dude. And given the Yone, this is gonna be their coup de grace, I guess, here to have their extra engage alongside with the Camille. But wow, NGX switching things up. Castle win.
We'll see. It's been a long time since I've seen this champion. There was a phase in Wild Rift where Kassadin was a Castle win. But after a series of nerfs that this guy received, he basically was toned down. Could still be the threat that everyone would expect by the time that we reach the late game. And this is going to be very interesting as to who's going to play this, because this smells to me that that this is an Aaron champion, but Hyde could also get his hands on this Kassadin. Kassadin can be played on both lanes, in the Baron lane and in the mid lane as well. And I just would like to also add to the fact that, yes, you're right, Chaz on this Yone is also an engage potential for this group. You now have two potential engagers. You have Helios on this Camille. You also have Chaz on this Yone. So this is going to be very interesting. Aaron would be the one playing the Kassadin.
Oh my, I'm actually quite nervous on this here for NGX a little bit, because I can still recall how Chaz was so aggressive with the Yone against the enemy the enemy Ziggs at that time against a G2 Blacklist. He was basically using, the moment he sees the enemy APC, the Dragon Laner, he just goes ham and uses every bit of his ability. The Soul Unbound, the Fate Seal. That is how aggressive Chaz can be on this Yone. And now as they use it in this game number 2, this poses a lot of threat into scaling. But looking back at the last pick as well for Nigma Galaxy, Kassadin resurfacing into the Rift, this is going to be such a scaling game here for NGX.
Yeah, trying to match the scaling potential of 300 this time around, rather than going for the, I would say, gauntlet of securing the early game and basically win from there. At least now they have a good balance of things. You're right, Young. They have a very early game oriented jungler in the Lee Sin. Now we are back to standard Wild Rift. Our support players are starting in the bot lane rather than supporting their Baron lane. So this is finally the 1v1 that we wanted to see. Farmer teammates. Oh, sorry, it's a 2v1.
Never mind. 300. No, we group up always. We help.
Okay.
We help, and Helios does get his help from Marky this time.
And look at this. I mean, the wave priority is on the side of NGX. So which means that Hyde would be missing out on some gold and some experience. Very timely roam coming from Mariki, and I would say a decent blow against the early game of Hyde.
Yeah. And well, I think 300 does prioritize the scaling of the Baron laner so much, and does believe that Exodus is just gonna have a bit of a good time here in the bottom, at least an okay time, despite the support item that he does have. NGX still going with what is standard for them with the Ziggs in the bot lane. That is going to be an easy farming here, at least wave clear for Demon Kite, while Aaron looks to just play it out safe in the mid lane. Since it's a Kassadin against a Corki, I think it's gonna be able to at least sustain.
But here comes Justchi. Oh, he misses though.
Empty.
Almost. I mean, yes, of course, there's really no angle for Aaron to win this lane against Tatsuri's range and whatnot. But at level 5, once he gets access to those void steps, he basically is a kill threat already against Tatsuri. Helios, though, still is in a 2v2 scenario. Justchi will be spotted here.
Has to fall back. Tether is starting to be a bit irritating as Aaron looks to fall back for the meantime because Chaz is being a menace. But Draw actually doing a really good job. Being aggressive. No full-on engage gonna happen as NGX looks to just commit on this blue. They're gonna be happily walking out with that blue buff for Justchi.
That small win that was made possible because it was a reason. And of course, Draw and Hyde being at the right place at the right time just allowed Justchi to get that small win and getting that blue buff steal off of Chaz. That's basically the playstyle of NGX. If you can sustain the aggression of NGX when it comes to, you know, this jungle invades, then you will have a good time. But it's kind of expected at this point that they would do it over and over again. So 300 has to do better if they want better chances. Draw.
Wow. The flash into that shield of Duran as Justchi follows up. Immediately turns into a first blood kill, and they're not even done. Aaron is there. Level 5 commits the flash and gets that second kill. NGX going ham once more in game number 2's early game.
I know, and that's Aaron. I don't think he has even bought anything yet, right? Oh, yeah, okay. Finally, items has been shown, and a Route of Ages has been completed for Aaron. That's a good kill. That's a good exit kill for NGX. And did I say Draw's tendencies to go with the Justice Punch into a flash?
Yep.
Yeah, that's like
and
a staple. That's a trademark of Draw. Every single time that I see his flash available with a Justice Punch, he would go for that play 8 out of 10 times. And look at that play. A very high risk, high reward play for NGX that just netted them another advantage in the early game.
And it doesn't even hesitate, even for a little bit. He immediately casts in that flash and lands that 2-man taunt into 300's members. And what's also fascinating to see is the quick follow-up by Justchi and Hyde in that instance. Now, as they go for a round 2 in the top side, this time without a flash, Draw is a bit struggling in that engagement. In the mid lane, as the switcheroo happens and the gank happens here in the bot side, Aaron cannot escape anymore. Ooh, that is a lot of damage.
Yeah, true. Barrier has been burnt by Aaron, but there was just no chance. The layering of CC from Exosen and Chaz was enough to take the head of Aaron and at least slow down the momentum of NGX. One thing to also note when playing NGX or when watching NGX, their play style of revolving their game plan around their Baron lane is just so good. And we saw it from their time with Chami. Chami, unfortunately, again, is not able to join them because of age restrictions. But now with Hyde, you can see that, you know what, if they play around their Baron lane, Hyde would have a good time. There will be a trade-off here, Kiyang, and this will be a handshake. Rift Arrow would go over to the 300 side. Meanwhile, NGX gets the dragon this time. Nope.
Good attempt. Demon kind of tempting a Marky there in the RH, but bottom side, gang, Tatsuri is having a nightmare. No. 3 people diving. We're gonna give you an experience that Aaron had, but much more.
Yep. And also, one of the things we saw multiple times with Hyde in his time with RRQ was his ability to make sure that to go for the preemptive flashes. He knew at that point that Helios would go for the Hextech Ultimatum, so what he did was to go for the preemptive flash. On the other side of the map, Tatsuri didn't really have enough space in him. And that's another advantage for the side of NGX. Yes, 300 was able to get some tower plates, but the more important prize of getting that tower in the top lane didn't happen for the 300. NGX, again, you know, getting another advantage for their squad after squandering it with Aaron's death.
And the thing that they do have a relatively scaling composition, being aggressive in the early game kind of results into 300's passive playing, which actually suits better for NGX since Aaron, despite being ganked and the only one that died so far in this game, is still ahead. 500 gold against Tatsuri. So in retrospect, NGX is winning in basically everything, and at least in the first 7 minutes of the game, because they even secured the Infernal Dragon. RH was secured by 300, used in the top lane, but didn't transition into any sort of towers. And now, Joshi in the top side. Tatsuri again gonna experience hell.
I mean, Exosen had the right idea. He went upstairs, but just she and Aaron really didn't give Exosen enough time to be there. It was so fast, it was so clean that Tatsuri didn't have any chance at all. No flash, no summoners for Tatsuri. That's basically a very easy kill. 300 was able to get a tower on the top side. But you could still see that NGX, once they sniff blood, they would go for the bite right away.
Yeah, and they even negated that top side push with Hyde getting a tower as well in the bot side. So, wow, this is such an efficient early game to mid game by NGX. And we're already seeing 2 items being picked up. Rod of Ages and Archangel Staff here by Aaron. 5 minutes from now, this Kassadin is gonna go crazy onto 300. They need to start switch or spicing things up here for 300. Fate Shield gonna be used here by Chaz, missing the target though onto draw. So that's a little bit unfortunate here for 300.
Yeah, but that still is a flash that has been burnt. Another showing by Chachi on the top side. Easy kill once again.
Hextech Ultimatum after that Dragon's Rage might not be enough to save his life. He still falls down onto the hands of Aaron of all people. That is so disastrous here for 300. And now, NGX looking for more across the map. Though we do see Tatsuri on the bot side, at least just going for a split push and getting some gold on the other side of the map, playing it safe as possible here for this Corki. But NGX being so dangerous here.
How many times have we seen just she do that exact same play over and over again? I think at least in this game there were 3 times in where he dove under the tower, and 2 times in a row that he doesn't even need more than 1 teammate to execute the assassination. This is actually the reason why NGX acquisition of Just She has been one of the bigger news in the Wild Rift esports scene, because this guy is just built to dominate. Before Chaz was heralded as the best jungler in the Philippines, Just Chi was already having his claim on that throne. So this duel between the 2 best junglers in the Philippines is now being reclaimed by Just Chi.
Yep. In a fantastic performance, 1 gang in the bot lane onto Tatsuri, twice in the top side, another one of which is onto Tatsuri as well. So it's a nightmare that Joshi is actually putting the members of 300 at right now. And it provides a lot of safety net into their scaling champions as well. Hyde experiences no death or even fear of death so far in this whole 10.5-minute game. And despite Aaron being ganked in the bot side, he is even getting a couple of kills across the board. Now, Chaz is starting things up with a Soul Unbound, no Fate Seal being used just yet. So has to play it a little bit far back for the meantime. NGX grouping up as well as the Ocean Dragon is being started up here by 300. I'm starting to get nervous here. Exocet does have some disengage. Joshi is posing a bit, but took a bit of damage as he falls back. Now that's a package being used here by that HP bar is deleted, and well, 300 does secure this Ocean Dragon, but at what cost? Absolute obliteration by NGX. They already secured 2 kills off the Chaz and Marky, and they're going for even more. 3 kills picked up already, might be even 4 as Exocet is being chased away by Demon Kite. Only draw fell down. NGX is at it for 300.
Yeah, the beginning of that team fight, I was in full attention to Aaron's positioning, because I know that he would be the detrimental or the biggest X factor for NGX. He was able to isolate Tatsuri. Yes, Tatsuri survived, but that's okay. That's as good as a kill, because the damage dealer from 300, the sustained damage dealer from 300 was actually taken away from the fight right away. So that's already a good thing for NGX, and putting more pressure onto that was a very good execution by Hyde, Chashi, and Demon Kite, making sure that 300 goes punished. And I do understand, you know, that 300 was able to at least snag away the dragon, but you're right, at what cost? That's a huge amount of lead that NGX garnered in just one team fight.
A little small detail as well. 300, Marky and Exocet, they kind of exchanged roles and items. A while ago, Exocet did have the support item. Now, Marky actually is the one with Spectral Cowl. So in terms of scaling a bit, they're a bit delayed. Though it's just a minor detail, but it's something to take note of. Because if we compare Demon Kite and Marky, we're seeing a 3,000 gold lead of Demon Kite. And NGX in general, as they scale into the late game, since we're now at the 13-minute mark, 300 is starting to lose options here. They can go in, but a while ago, when Tatsuri went in 1 second, his HP dropped down to 0.
True. Well, it's kind of expected though. You know, this itemizations, it's kind of an unspoken rule when it comes to Karma, and other supports as well. But yeah, right now though, the main story has been just
the kick. Wow! Dragon's Rage into another member of 300. NGX does not hesitate, and suddenly 3 bodies of 300 fall down just in time for NGX to get this Baron.
My god, she's just a beast on this champion. I dare say it's ban-worthy, but Lee Sin being banned away is a wasted ban most of the time. Against Shashi though, I feel that it's very much warranted. This guy is just so aggressive on this champion. Can make plays left and right. And NGX just lives and breathes through Jashi's aggression. Once he goes ham, positive things happen for NGX. Now they have the Purple Worm buff. We saw how they utilized the Purple Worm buff earlier during game number 1, in where they were able to destroy like what 5 towers in one Baron power play. So I expect nothing less from NGX side.
Justy as well watches too many insect plays in League of Legends PC and implements it in Wild Rift. So many connecting Dragon Rages, and those setups has been so on point all throughout the game. This guy, like what you mentioned, Lee Sin usually not having not being a ban-worthy champion, might be ban-worthy just because of the performance of Joshi. And now with the Baron power play online here for NGX, as they spread out across the map with the immense amount of wave clear that they do also have, and tower taking 300, they are forced more backsides into this game.
Yeah, that's true. And again, Giyang, when talking about Joshi here, right? His performance on the Zed earlier on game number 1 was respectable at best. As we see in Engage on the top side, that's Hurrah coming from 300.
Oh,
0.
yeah, lost.
Yeah, zero positive outcome for them. At least there's so many ultimates that has been bursted.
Oh, that hurts.
That has been wasted away by 300. And look at Chaz, less than half health. So many damage
Oh,
potential
here
from
he
NGX.
comes again! Insect place! Joshi, are you even human? You take them like bowling balls here at 300. NGX is just playing around right now. Utmost performance, 100% peak. But look at Chaz! Doing some damage with that enchanted Q, but not enough to actually get some kills. Hyde is being chased away here by both Tatsuri and Helios and has to die. But he did get an inhibitor tower, so that is a win here for NGX. All inhibitor towers now taken away. Deja vu, once again, similar to game number 1.
Right, but at this time, 300's situation is more on the bad side because look at the timers. It's 16 minutes. We are still far away from the Elder Dragon that really did win them the game, or the second Baron is not going to respawn anytime soon. And I believe that NGX did regroup earlier and said that, hey, you know what, that game number 1 should have been ours. And I don't think they would be committing the same mistake once again here, at least in game number 2. Safe to say that NGX has a firm hold of this game, and we might be looking at the series here, Dion. I don't see any window of opportunity for 300 to win again, because first of all, the Ziggs is actually on the other side. So Marquis
Yep.
still won't be replicated.
Yeah, Fate Seal onto the ground. Not really the best target here for Chaz, as now NGX is relatively still safe. Meanwhile, Joshi again with that Dragon's Raid. Marquis immediately falls down to the ground. Demon Kite is relatively alive despite that attempt by Exosen, and now NGX will have the best and simplest attempt here, or at least a route as they go into the mid lane. Aaron though gets a little bit confused as he gets taken out, but NGX still pushes through with this mid lane push. 3 versus 4 is gonna be disadvantageous for 300, but NGX surprisingly is gonna be respecting them for the meanwhile.
Yeah, this is what changed from game number 1 and game number 2. If it was the same level of confidence during game number 1, NGX would be pushing through and would look into breaking down the Nexus. But after suffering that very big comeback win or comeback loss against 300 on game number 1, NGX would elect to be more passive and would be more, I would say, disciplined in their approach here in game number 2. There's still a chance. Demon Kite though has Hyde in his back, so there is no reason for him to be scared at all. Another small objective being won here by NGX. Now the resources is being put over to NGX side, and they're just waiting for 300 to commit a mistake and pounce on that right away.
Oh, that might be the mistake. Exosen going a little bit too far forward as he gets punished there by Demon Kite. And now Megan Pernabomb doing quite a bit here in the backside. Package immediately used. So without that, I don't think 300 will have enough tools to contest NGX attempt on getting this Baron.
Yep. 0. And no Mega Inferno Bomb, no global ultimates, but NGX, look at NGX. Feels like they have, you know, some sort of PTSD of what happened earlier. They don't want to commit a Baron 50-50 anymore.
Wow, that is an obnoxious amount of dash thrown out there by Aaron. Helios is gonna be attempting to at least push them back. Yeah, PTSD, indeed. NGX not opting to get this Baron and focusing on turning, or at least setting up some death brushes here on the top side of the river. Finally, they do decide to start things up, as Joshi though is quite low, so he has to be a little bit careful. But given that 300 has no intention on checking this Baron, I don't think they would be posed a threat here on this Baron attempt.
Alright, and now it should be a lot easier for NGX to close down this game. Fast hurrah from Chaz, but it's not going to connect onto Aaron. And remember, Kassadin is still one of the most slippery champions that we have in the game. At 20 minutes, there is an Elder Dragon, but if you are NGX, is there a need for them to contest this Elder Dragon? Because you still have the Baron buff, and you can actually decide to just push the Nexus.
But I think, you know, given what happened in game number 1, I think they want to make things absolutely sure. Joshi, this time, for the first time, misses on that knockback on an additional champion, but still high effectivity as Chaz already dead, Exosen as well. Shit of the run on point here onto Tatsuri. NGX, just like what you said, ditches the Elder Dragon and goes for the clean execution on ending this game number 2.
Wow, what a statement from NGX that they are able to win the early game with ease, and this time by making sure that they don't, suffer the same, or they don't commit the same mistake that they did on game number 1. It's a much more flawless game overall for Nigma Galaxy. NGX evens the series 1-1, and we have a series here, Guillaume.
Definitely a fantastic game here by Nigma Galaxy. This is a much cleaner execution. A bit of a deja vu from game number 1, but without the global pressure champions from 300, especially Marky. They couldn't contest any Barons anymore. It was attempted a little bit by Exosen, but it got turned around there by Demon Kite. And all throughout the game, we saw this game is basically a highlight reel for Joshi. All throughout the game, the gank on the bot side, top side, mid side, everywhere across the map, he just makes those plays. And I think we only saw one time Joshi missing on that Dragon's Rage into a bowling, into that pinball interaction. Only one time.
This is still Joshi that we're talking about, the only Filipino player that was imported or was signed by a Chinese team back in his prime. And I dare say that his prime never really waned. Right now, he's still on top of his game, and he's just reclaiming the throne that was surrendered to Chaz during his hiatus. And now Joshi on this season, I have to say, less Zed, more of this season. I know that his Zed was okay, at least in game number 1, and they were supposed to even win that game. But this season, this group of montage highlights by Joshi, it's just on a different level. It just inspires you. It's like a work of art by Picasso or something. My God.
And I second the motion, your statement on the Lee Sin, and on your comment about him having his prime before. I think I want to describe him as a wine, especially in this game. The longer the better. He ages definitely so well, especially after this performance on the Lee Sin. This guy is making highlights after highlights all throughout this game, and it is the refreshment that NGX does need after that upset in game number 1.
Yep. And again, kudos to the support staff and also the players in not getting tilted at all. By the way, also would like to highlight that NGX doesn't use this Kassadin as a scaling late game champion. They actually use this champion as a threat, a roaming threat during their first few minutes. That's actually one way to play the Kassadin, right? Remember, the Rift Walks does allow you to cover a good amount of distance in a very short amount of time. So Aaron's ability to use this champion very aggressively did actually also make sure that NGX would be netting the advantage in their game. Looking at the damage total, look at Aaron, look at Demon Guide, and of course Joshi, the 3-headed Cerberus from NGX just was responsible in majority of the damage.
And MVP of player. Yeah, this is for sure. Joshi on this Lee Sin, 13 KDA, kill participation 68%, and so many, too many in fact, plays and ganks there all throughout the game. Basically deleted all chances of 300
from NGX a Galio ban, because it just gives 300 the luxury of having Exosim play the Galio. And remember what happened earlier, right? There were 2 plays in where we saw Tatsuri being defenseless. Imagine if Exosen was on the Galio and could just easily heroes entrance his way to defend his mid laner. It could have been different. There you go. That's an immediate ban by Coach TG. My God. So this is so good, right? Like looking at 300. There's a lot of picks that is left open. Jace is still open. Jace is going to be banned away here. So NGX has the flexibility. Go for a power pick. Camille is open. that could be, the champion that NGX wants.
The Galio as well helped them so much in game number 1 for the 300 with the Gwen combination. So definitely, as NGX does get the Aatrox, this is going to be a really solid scaling champion that NGX does have. 300 responding with a Camille, in which they can maybe also pick up a mage, possibly the Karma, but they are going to be getting or prioritizing the Ziggs here for Marky, in which he did have such beautiful performance in game number 1.
The hero from game number 1, 300's Marky, going back to the Ziggs. That's a Yumi. This is so scary for the side of NGX, because if you were draw, you would have plenty of options to stick to during the mid game. But the scarier part is the Aatrox plus Yumi combo, in where your sustain can go through the roof. Now 300 is electing to go for the Zed, could go to Chaz, could go to Tatsuri, even Helios has the ability to play this champion. So overall, we don't know yet if how 300 would be playing out this draft. But now NGX is just so confident that they are showing Yumi in the second pick.
Yeah, 300 responding with a much deserved Lee Sin ban onto Joshi. So kudos here to 300. NGX, they are also responding with a Rakan ban here on their side. So 300, they do have a lot of engaged potential here. Good ban on the Nautilus as well, as Exosen can actually opt to get that champion, given that they do have the Camille and the Zed in their mix. So this engage heavy comp that 300 is building can be actually scary, because despite the high sustain that the Aatrox does have and the Yumi, if the burst potential of 300 is high enough, higher than the heal rate that the Aatrox can have, then no amount of protection the Yumi can actually give onto Hyde. Now they actually respond with a Wukong here. That is a lot of crowd control in team fighting potential. All 4 champions have crowd control here for NGX.
Yeah, but somehow a counter synergy with Explosive Cask, of course. What would be the last pick here? You know what? I'm okay with a Vi pickup here for 300. I'm not sure why, but there's something that tells me that this could be a very good Vi angle for Chaz.
I see you there.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, so they're deciding against that. It will most likely be Zed for Chaz, and then you would have the Renekton, and of course the Camille be flexed between Helios and Tatsuri. But now a better, I believe this is a better draft for 300 overall. And on the other side, NGX, the biggest wildcard, of course, would be the Yumi. Yumi was remade in League of Legends PC. Not so much here in Wild Rift yet. So this is still the same Yumi that we saw from a long time ago when she was created.
Yeah, and NGX in general is going to be engaging quite a lot once more with the draft that they do have here for game number 2. 300, they also have some engage, so this can be a big clash overall for both teams. So let's try to maybe look at this at a micro perspective, at least a champion or a matchup perspective, because we do see 300 at least with a really high pick composition, like with the Camille, with the Zed, Mega Inferno Bomb as well added into the mix. So in terms of single target damage, you can quickly burst out any single champion here on the side of NGX. But in terms of team fighting overall, the amount of crowd control and AoE damage on the side of NGX is actually pretty scary. So maybe 300 in the early game would be changing things up, because both game 1 and game 2, they're playing things a little bit reserved and they're being pressured by NGX quite a lot. So with this lineup, maybe they can be the one to look for fights pre 5 minutes.
You think that 300 would be on the aggression? We'll see. I mean, they have shown that they have that in their arsenal as well as we head into game number 3. This is you're right. You know, the amount of crowd control available for the side of NGX is so scary, and that's where you basically say that we have to split the map. They have a very good side laner, combo of side laners. They have the Renekton, they have the Camille, and also this Zed could also be, you know, the best champion to supplement your side laners, because we have to remember that this Zed is also very mobile. Just she would be the one playing the Aatrox, by the way.
Yep, this is going to be quite scary because the eight rocks in the jungle has more, safe space, I would say, rather than being in the lane, especially against Helios's Camille. So quite a farming potential here for Just She, and all throughout the day.
Huh?
I believe all Aatrox jungle picks has transitioned into a win so far in both in Vietnam region games and in the Southeast Asia qualifier games.
I haven't been keeping track. It's not unbeatable per se, but Tatsuri wants blood. First blood denied by Aaron. A flash for a flash, ignite for an ignite, but the aggression is definitely on for both these mid laners. And one thing to note though is Aaron would be the one to would be the first one to go back, and Just She is just very close to at least surprise Tatsuri in the process.
Yeah. It's similar to game number 1. Both mid laners are going ham quite early, pre 2 minutes in. Top side, that is quite a bit of a sustain that NGX actually has. Hide with draws, protection, allows them to have not only a shield but a healing in the laning phase. So in terms of aggression and protection, NGX has a very solid top side combination. So they're going to be able to at least farm it out pretty okay against the pressure of Helios and Exocen. And even if Chaz ganks here in top side, I don't think they'll be pressured that much given this kind of combination of NGX. Inside though, Aaron. Ooh, that's a lot of combo aim burst. Yeah, Chaz with that Suri. Quick first blood here by 300.
And that's actually a very good sign. This is the first time that 300 was able to secure the first blood for themselves in this series. Could easily be what you did say, an early game aggression coming from 300, and the kill being gifted over to Chaz just was a little bit better than, you know, gifting it over to Tatsuri, because Chaz on the Zed would be needed, especially in the early game of this game. Almost the Yomu's Ghost Day completed for this guy. Potential 3-man dive.
Wow, that is a big burst already onto Joshi. Can he actually escape? The answer is yes. Healer's actually taking a bit of damage there from Hyde, and the Yuumi forces them back for the meantime. But a potential dive gonna be initiated here. Joshi took a turret shot though, and opted to just fall back for the meantime and get
I think
a couple
this
of
is
plates
destroyed.
Here.
Okay, all right. So they're going back because just by the many minions, just by the amount of minions that was available for NGX, if 300 did not challenge that one out, I believe that could have easily been destroyed by NGX. But you could see NGX still is not ready to surrender their early game. By the way, Demon Kite is the one on Gragas, which is kind of interesting because we know that draw is so good on this champion. And I think this might be the first time that I've seen Demon Kite on this champion.
Pretty interesting switch here on Nigma Galaxy side. Let's see if it's gonna be a positive. It's gonna lead to a positive result here for this team. Since right now, 4 minutes in, this is a pretty even game here for both teams.
Yep.
Quite different from how we have seen the first 2 games, in which NGX usually has the advantage. But given their composition, given the composition of 300 as well, I think this is an okay standing here for NGX. Despite Aaron unfortunately dying due to the gank of Chaz a while ago, not being affected that much. 200 gold lead for Tatsuri isn't really a bad deal here for Aaron.
Yeah, it's just safe to say it's a dead even game here, Guillaume. Now it all comes down to whoever gets the priority in their respective lanes ahead of the first objective team fights that might happen had if they decide to contest this one out, a small advantage gained once again by NGX in securing this Spell Grab on the top side means that if they go for the dragon, they still would have information on that Rift Herald. Right now, it's time for them to recall and get their newly minted items just in time for this fight.
Oh, that burst is just too much! 300 through everything they got in that champion of Joshi, but they would need to trade the cow for the meantime as Exorcist falls down. No Mega Inferno Mob this time here for 300. Tatsuri as well used every bit of ulti available here for 300. They turn into Hyde and immediately pins him down to the ground. Tatsuri has to fall back. Aaron flashes in and trades here for NGX. But now the AUB damage is starting to hurt here for NGX to sustain as well. They get Chaz quickly here for 300. Wow. Aaron gets a double 300. They did not expect that from Nigma Galaxy.
The extended team fight, especially with Yumi getting the double buff, just allowed them to sustain much of the damage coming from 300. It started so well for 300, but then again, once you have the Yumi, once you have those long team fights, it should basically be in your favor. The heals, the shields, the damage is almost always going to be there. NGX wins that fight and is basically awarded of a big objective.
Yeah, 300, they should learn their lesson this time, because a while ago, well, it started off quite good there for 300. A big pick off onto Joshi, a quick burst onto Hyde, but the sustain is just too much. Extended team fight is definitely very scary here for NGX, and they do need to avoid those in the next one. After Ocean Dragon, now comes a gank onto Tatsuri. No. This is gonna be disastrous for this Crocodile, and immediately his HP bar diminished to 0. Plus a lot of plates actually going towards NGX side. Chaz is attempting to at least interfere. Yep. He does so, but still a lot of gold going towards NGX.
True, and that's 3 times in this series that I can count off that that happened to Tatsuri. Every single time that he shows his himself under the tower, NGX just find themselves in a better position to really dive Tatsuri.
Oh, that trap!
Another engage.
Oh. Yeah, 300 attempted to gank there on the bot side, but they didn't know that Joshi was waiting in the bush. Now Demon Guy joins the fray. They flash in here onto Exosen. A double kill by Joshi. NGX. That is such a tricky and sleek move there. A trap established against 300.
What a way to really just make more out of nothing. NGX, after getting that kill against Tatsuri, they decided to go for that cheeky play, as we said, a trap where they were able to get more kills for themselves. And Joshi is now approaching the scary Aatrox territory, already at 411 with 2 items completed here, Giyang, and with the support of Draws Yumi. You can easily say that this could be the unkillable Aatrox that we often see during our ranked games.
Yeah, so scary. And just like how we talked about it in the early game, since Joshi is the one using the Aatrox, not much threat actually was experienced in the link phase. But even so, like if Hyde was the one using the Aatrox with the Yumi, he's gonna have so much sustain as well. So either way, NGX is doing such a pretty job. This time they're gonna be attempting to do what Tatsuri experienced, this time onto Hyde. Death Mark also expended, but Hyde is stalling for quite a bit. Did die at the very end, but look at the top side. NGX is threatening now on a tier 2 tower push, and there's nothing that Helios can do.
Kind of the advantage that is expected. You take a tower, we take 2 towers in return. NGX is still in firm control of their lead right now. 9 minutes into the game, and with the 4K gold lead, all that is needed by NGX now is for 300 Marky to be assassinated, because basically Marky is the one responsible in making sure that this tower in the mid lane won't be broken apart. And once this tower from 300 is shattered, that basically is the go time for NGX to just invade the jungle over and over again. You could see here that Exosen still is trying to plant some vision and making sure he will have information as to where Just Chi and company is. But in the next couple of seconds, with the second Rift Herald looming to respond, that could be the passport of NGX to just break down the tower in the mid lane.
Yeah, this is a chance for them to do exactly that, and 300 is in no shape to contest this RH takedown. So kind of sad here for the red team right now. They're just forced a little bit back to their towers. Helios is split pushing in the bot lane, and Astatsuri is desperately trying to defend top side, but this is
Chaz.
a scary attempt by Aaron. Yeah, it forces them back, but 300 is grouping up so much in the mid lane to protect this mid lane tower.
And right now, Jachi and in their quest, NGX and their quest to get all the buffs of their opponent. Addition by subtraction is basically the name of the game when you're playing NGX, right? Almost every time they will time your buffs, and once it responds, expect them to be there. Chaz and company is just on the back foot all throughout this mid game here, Giyang, and I don't expect it to change anytime soon. Also, if there's one thing to credit 300 with, is that their shot calling during the stages improves greatly, and we could see a miraculous team fight coming from 300 once again.
Yep, and despite the big lead here and the team fighting prowess of NGX, 300 is actually able to match the tower takedowns, at least a little bit. They're only down 1, and this allows them to at least stall the game even more and at least look for angles in which they can actually turn around the game and the fight. NGX starting with the Mountain Dragon for the meantime as they get spotted here by Exosen, but I don't think 300 can actually do anything at this time. Helios is forced to use his flash just to disengage as Exosen tanking quite a bit. Aaron looking at the backside, up to use the Cyclone. Mega Inferno Bomb gonna be thrown out as Tatsuri is taking a bit of damage, forced to flash away as well. The sustain is just too much to handle here, coming from Nigma Galaxy, and Tatsuri even fell down to the ground the moment he went in. Death Mark gonna be used here by Chaz to attempt a desperation play, but cannot do anything due to the high sustain here of NGX. Aaron is just having quite a bit of a good time here with the sustain of the Divine Surrender. But that damage from the bomb is kind of tricky. Tactical sweep, missing the damage. Actually does so at the very end due to that Death Dance DOT. And now NGX is mad. They want the revenge. You killed our comrade. You killed Aaron. So we'll take 2.
What a way to really win team fights after team fights. Joshi is not done yet. Marky is his target. World Ender would expire, and I think that's it. That is a big win for NGX, getting another dragon for themselves. And what a way to really dominate this game.
Yeah, NGX, they do not hold back at all. Aaron stood there for quite a bit. Joshi is taking a bit of damage. That is the burst that 300 was opting for quite some time, and Demon Kite a little bit late on that cask. NGX loses their jungler. Baron is up, but I don't think 300 would opt to take this for now.
They're
since
not a big
NGX is too strong.
And their lineup doesn't really have enough damage to burst down the Baron. They don't have a marksman. Their jungler is not a Kha'Zix, so it will take them a lot of time to take down this Baron. And if you are under that pit, Aaron would just not hesitate to go in and cyclone you out of that pit. So yeah, 300's decision making at that point is to not go over aggressive and be content in getting that kill against Jachi.
Look for more picks is the name of a game here for 300, and try to avoid those extended team fights from NGX. 14 minutes into the game, they are still down by 5,000 gold and a couple of dragon stacks here from NGX. This is gonna be a little bit scary. Not only do they have quite a bit of sustain, but they also have a lot of tools to stall out the team fight. 3 Zonias and then a Locket enchantment picked up already here by NGX. So this is gonna be a pretty scary team fight occurring in the next few minutes as 300 is just forced so much back here into their tower. Still holding on to this mid lane, so kudos to 300.
I mean, you have a Ziggs.
What just
right?
happened to Chaz? That is sad. No Zonias anymore.
That's true. Well, we'll see. Again, you have the Ziggs, and the Ziggs is really the best defense champion that we do have in the game when it comes to wave clear. And look at this, NGX, again, we did say they really love the buffs of the opponent. They're going all in here.
Yeah, chasing down Chaz until the very end. This is a very, very far fight that NGX is still continuing to attempt doing so. 300 is forced back.
Okay.
NGX gonna respect that decision and will just back away themselves.
Yeah, and Marky's just going to continue to wave clear this mid lane. 14 minutes is the threshold of this tower, at least in my eyes. Exosen with engage, Marky with the damage. Helios?
Ooh. Very scary. He did not continue with that attempt. Exosen is taking a bit of damage, so forced to use that stasis. Goes golden, flashes away. Joshi taking a bit. Death Spark gonna be used, but misses the target. Look at all these defenses being thrown out by NGX just to save Joshi's life. Helios going forward here for 300. Aaron as well. Man, NGX and 300 sizing up onto each other 15, 16 minutes in.
True, and had it been, one more skill connecting to Joshi could have been, the kill that 300 wanted. But you could see the idea. Joshi just goes over aggressive. Why? Because he basically has a Yuumi in his back. Now he's back to full health, right? The sustain is the name of the game. Whenever you play Aatrox, there's really no other resource that you have to think of. No mana, no energy, none of that. All you have to think about is your health total. Now 300 still is on their quest to prolong and extend this game. The longer this game goes, at least 300 would be content and say, you know what, we still have a chance. The Elder Dragon win condition plus the Baron win condition will always be there for them.
Yeah, eyes on Marky all throughout the game. This guy has been the key into the stalling of NGX push into the mid lane. And well, with the Ziggs, Marky is gonna be quite scary here and will be respected by NGX for sure, because he's the one who allowed 300 to come back in that game number 1 earlier. He can do it again here in this game number 3 if he is given the opportunity to do so. Still gonna be taking some time. They are setting up a Death Brush here in the bot side river as the Infernal Dragon spawns up. NGX posing a bit as well in this bot side river, but they do have more engage potential here than 300. Joshi took a bit of damage there from the bombs, but is not hesitating in engaging. Now with the blue buff once more here for Draw. They engage once more. NGX just doesn't hesitate, but might need to do so as they're taking a bit of damage. Helios is forced a little bit back. That's a stasis there for the Wukong, but doesn't allow him to stay alive. But meanwhile, Joshi is going ham. He is just a monster right now with the help of Draw. Look at that sustain. Look at the heal back on full health. This guy is just a monstrosity on NGX.
Just Aatrox and Yuumi things. Let's go. NGX now sets their sights on the top tower. And my god, that would have been... in my eyes, that could have been, the best team fight that 300 could ask for. Under the tower, with Ziggs, or with Marky being able to dodge as much skills as he can of that very timely stasis engine. But at the end of it all, the lead plus the composition of NGX just allowed them to just cross 2 towers and just basically disregarded any amount of pressure coming from 300.
Yep, and have zero hesitation as well by Joshi. A while ago, I think he got down towards 25% of his HP remaining, then suddenly with one swing and with a heal there from Draw, it went back to 100. That is so frustrating to see if you're the members of 300 right now, especially with Chaz doing so much damage in a single target. He attempted so many times to burst down a single member of NGX. Against Joshi, it just gets negated so many times here, especially in that last fight. And now with the trio Dragon stacks that NGX has, this is the utmost scaling composition and stacking you can ask for NGX.
And you know what's worse here, Kiyoung? Just was now able to buy his Guardian Angel. So imagine this Aatrox having the Yumi in his back, has the ability to go golden, and now has the Guardian Angel.
This is salt added into the wound, and look at how much of a confident Aatrox Joshi is being right now on the NGX side. No hesitation, not all stasis by Exocet, but you can only do so much with this cow. Mega Inferno Bomb doing a lot though onto Aaron.
That's good.
Forces him into a gray screen, but Joshi secured his second kill in that fight, and will have more and more chances of going or making his HP bar go back to full. Look at that, just one swing, 100% HP. Joshi is just a monster in this game. There's not wow, what? Three? That's wow. Okay, I'm speechless on just what happened there. 2 hits and Marcus HP just goes to nothing. And NGX, they just pull through their 2-1 and it's match point right now against 300.
What a way to dominate game number 3. Starting with the 300 getting the first blood, but it stopped there, right? NGX is, as you said, a monstrosity of a lineup in where we saw the potential finally unlocked between the Aatrox and the Yumi. We've heard of rumors of how busted this combination was for other teams, and I did cast a game in where I saw an Aatrox and a Yumi lose a game. But when played to this perfection, when played to this, I would say, strategy, NGX just is on a different level. Looking at the highlights here, we saw the over-aggression coming from the 300, bursting out one, and that's just she in the process. But look at this team fight. Draw's ability to heal and to shield his teammates was just so much.
I mean, I saw Yumi being paired up with a Garen in VRU's game against Uni team in phase 2, but not on an Aatrox, and this one is just out of this world, man. Definitely, literally, with the Aatrox pick and the NGX being so creative as a team. This is what they need to continue getting their momentum, and they even maintain their aggression all throughout the game, ganking here and there, despite the efforts of 300, especially by Chaz, Helios, and Tatsuri on those initiations, and Exocet as well, plus Marky defending at all costs with that Mega Inferno Bomb, with the Ziggs for the delay of the game. Just wasn't enough, especially the moment that NGX opted to engage onto them. The sustain is just too much. The Aatrox is just too tanky, and the NGX is just overall too scary.
True, and I thought that there were team fights that could have gone either way, but again, just the game plan of NGX to continuously bully out the 300 out of their jungle. Look at this team fight. I think this was the defining moment in where we saw Just Chi, the middle of 2 towers, doesn't really care at all. Look at Just Chi sustain with a cat in his back. Basically is just a done deal for the side of NGX. My god. There are so many things that you have to respect for the side of NGX. But if there is one thing that I would love to commend NGX for, is their drafting. Just the fact that they did their homework and banned away the Galio of Exocet, and his ability to really supplement his side laners was actually so good.
And well, I was actually so amused the fact that Joshi a while ago, when he picked up that Guardian Angel, without hesitation, he went in front of 3 members of 300 in the mid lane. Without hesitation, he just goes ham and basically tells his teammates, okay, let's go. Come at me. Let's try to just engage onto the members of 300. Wow, 47,000 on Marky.
Marky is still so good in this champion. It just so happened that, you know, how the big amount of damage that is being dealt here by Marky is being healed by Yumi. If we actually compare the healing numbers of this Yumi, the damage amount of Marky, I believe it's 2 to 3, right? You know, for every 3 damage point by Marky, a 2 healing point was done by Draw. A very well executed draft by NGX, and again, it just goes to show, you know, that Coach TG knows his League of Legends.
You know what I'm happy about right now? Finally, we see someone out damaging Genza's Zoe from a while ago. Because a while ago it was 40,000. Now with the marquee, he reached 47,000. Nigma Galaxy though still with the MVP of Joshi. So many times in this series right now. This time with an Aatrox after his incredible performance with the Lee Sin. Now he opens the realm with his Aatrox, demolishing the members of 300 with the help, of course, of Draw.
Yep. Just just need a backup in the side lanes. But there is a potential of them, opening some champions that would net them the overall advantage when it comes to mobility. I could see the Shen being used by 300. I could also see 300 electing for Helios to go to the mid lane and Tatsuri to the Baron lane. There's a lot of potential moves for 300 overall. All I know is that there is definitely a change that is needed here, because in games 1, 2, and 3, it's as clear as a day that NGX has been the better team.
Yeah, in terms of drafting, in terms of execution as well. They only made one mistake, which is in game number 1, but overall, they have been so clean in their execution, early game to late game. They are very, very consistent in their strategy, and this time they look to polish their movements once more. NGX getting that Aatrox once again. Yuumi is available, 300. They're having a lot of insights right now for sure. A lot of things are going on their mind as they pick up the Camille once more here for Helios.
Yeah, 3 games in a row for Helios. Not really. I won't fault them in going for this very early pickup on this Camille. But this is like the same opening for NGX. They go for the Aatrox. Yuumi still available. There is a potential of them having a second rodeo on it. Like, why fix what's not broken?
Oh. See it again. Again.
Yep.
Again.
You know what?
Oh.
Okay. All right. No cap. I would love to see Garen here for the side of 300.
Yes.
Execution.
Yes.
Just just find a way to execute this. Whoever the cat is attached to. But that's also another tank that NGX can, attach the Yuumi with. We'll see though.
Okay, you get the dog,
if you play
get
Nasus, yeah, okay, all right. So this is a good answer. At least that's a scaling marksman. I actually want them to go for a more sustained DPS.
Yes.
Try to match the extended teamfight prowess of NGX, and one way to do so is by going for Senna. That's like the best champion that you can align, or that you can pick whenever you want extended teamfights.
Possibly a late game scaling on hit jungler as well here for 300 might work against NGX, so at least deal a significant amount of damage onto Hyde and possibly Demon Kite as well, because this sustained comp that they are building right now requires not only lots of anti-healing items but also lots of DPS champions. And 300 so far, well, they do have the Camille that can deal lots of damage, Senna, particularly in the late game, but I think that is still not enough here. Good respect on the Lee Sin still of Joshi, so they're still keeping track of that. And NGX do not want any Cyclones and the quick burst around with the Kha'Zix. They ban those champions as well.
Yeah. The Wukong is an Aaron champion though, right? I mean, we've seen him use this champion quite effectively 2 times in a row. Riven is like a staple for 300. Back during their time with RRQ, Riven can be played by 3 different players from 300. So it's the same case here. Tatsuri might be expecting that NGX will go for a Zed. It doesn't seem like so, because they went for the Jax.
So no mid laner just yet here for NGX. It's gonna be a Joshi Aatrox once more as they do pick up the Jax here for Hyde and Draw. Will attempt to try what Tatsuri used earlier, a Renekton. Again, lots of sustain, lots of animals as well picked up here by NGX, as 300 does have the burst that they do need. First time we are going to be seeing the Lilia for this series, and 300, I think this is the surprise they do need to bring onto the table if they want to pull us into a game number 5.
Well, definitely they needed some sort of an AP source of damage. I do understand that they have the Gragas, but more often than not, the Gragas is being built half AP, half tank. The question here though is, look at the champions of NGX. They are also beefy. They're also tanky. I know that the Jax isn't really known to be a tank, but once you put up your ultimate, once you have that the counter strike, you're fairly tanky as well. So looking at the draft, I'm trying to figure out where the damage from 300 would come from to penetrate through the defenses of NGX. Regardless, though, once it comes down to the point wherein an Elder Dragon gets secured, there is basically no tanks in the game whenever you're facing against an Elder Dragon stacked team. So that could be the win condition. Again, Lilia is an AB champion that could provide setups for the 300. So we'll see if this will be the biggest wild card needed in order for them to force a game number 5.
Lilia, we have seen these not only in Wild Rift but in League of Legends PC. Just a flash and swing on your Q, turning into a lilting lullaby to set up for that immense amount of engage. 300. This can be their ticket to glory, or this can be their final fight in this clash against Nigma Galaxy. Let's see as we head down into the Rift. Game number 4 is looking interesting here, as both teams does have quite a bit of scaling on their side. The Jax, the Aatrox, the Nasus, the Senna, Lilia, Camille, or even the Riven here for 300. Maybe we're gonna be seeing a peaceful early game.
I don't think so. When we talk
it's NGX.
It's NGX. Pre 5 minutes, if there will be 0 kills for them, that's not an NGX game. They will be very aggressive, even if they're playing like less champions that are so passive, like the Nasus one. They will still find a way to be aggressive. Look at them. They're not making they're not making Helios live any easier. The 1v1 between Aaron and Tatsuri continues 4 times in a row. All right, we'll see. This is just another take, and again, I just remember that this is Coach Kage that we're talking about, and basically he's saying that this Aatrox and Yumi could easily be answered by the Lilia champion. Yeah, we'll see. My faith is there, definitely.
I'm also curious. I'm just theorizing a little bit here, as we are seeing a bit of pokes being done here on Hyde with XSN and Marky. Top side with Demon Kite and Draw, with absolutely 0 threat coming from Helios. Maybe, just maybe, we're gonna be seeing Demon Kite put in a bit of a Q there for the stacking of his Siphon Strike.
Nah, that's
maybe.
I would still feel the early game advantages or mid game advantages of a fully stacked or fully leveled player will outweigh the damage potential of the stacking prowess of a Nasus. We could see that Curious was just fully out in the lane, and the goal disparity that was just made possible by the laning advantages that NGX is able to get for this game.
So much sustain as well on this duo. Nasus has a quite a bit of a lifesteal, and Yumi provides so much healing. Wow, this is I don't think NGX or Demon Kite Draw would have any sort of trouble with regards to the pokes, despite Marky being added into the mix there onto Helios. So much sustain, even from one auto attack. We can definitely see it, his HP bar rising up as he hits those minions.
She is
in the vicinity and might opt to draw the members of 300 in, and we have to take note of this because Chaz is on the other side. Luckily, No, Just G falls back, so Helios is gonna have a bit of a safe time here in the top side too.
Yeah, it's just making sure that there will be no ganks whatsoever. This is still a Nasus, a very mobile champion. Although with the Fury of the Sands available for this guy, it's possible that yeah they can out-sustain the damage being threatened here by 300. But look at the looking at the way things have started here. Finally, at least 300 able to pull through. The game is very dead even right now, and Helios was at least finally helped upon by Marky.
Yeah, Aaron as well this time is having a bit of a stable time. Tatsuri as well. No heavy engage happening just yet here for both mid laners. No casualty. Just G is in the vicinity, just guiding again, just like on Demon Kite earlier on top side. He does want to provide protection for the team, but 300 grouping up here in the bot side. That is a 4-man gang onto a Jax. Donnie's Shadow gonna be committed already, and a counter strike will not counter any damage. First blood concluded here by 300, but we do see some retaliation coming in from NGX. Aaron this time will answer back with a kill, make it 2 here as they do get that even on the kill scoreboard.
Yeah, that was the best potential outcome for 300 most. But Aaron had other plans. Draw was not able to join, or was not able to combine with Hyde in time to give some heals, and a Yumi without anyone to attach to is basically a defenseless Yumi. So yeah, 300 though, very aggressive. Pre 5 minutes, this is what we're talking about. Be it NGX, be it 300, they will find a way to kill someone.
Yeah. NGX. And on point, pre 5 minutes. They turn things around pretty effectively. Even Hyde got a kill earlier due to the help of the tower as well. And 300, they did not expect that retaliation coming in from Nigma Galaxy. Although they should. I mean, it's Nigma Galaxy, for Christ's sake. NGX always finds a way to be aggressive in the early game. Now it does pose a threat on this Rift Herald. Again, NGX does love to accelerate things in the early game. And with this, it's going to provide a lot of gold here for NGX. 300 is responding accordingly with sub-scaling with the Infernal Drake. And NGX, they need they are going to be getting at least a couple of plays there on the top side tower.
Yeah, and this is 300 suffering a loss in terms of tower on the top side, but looking at the itemization, I actually really like the way Chaz prioritized this Leandri's Torment as his first item buy. Because of the amount of HP that is available onto NGX's side, one would say, wait a minute, Exocen being left alone here in the mid lane.
Yeah, they spawned Rift Herald as well since they did get the tower already in the top side. 314 HP, make it a little bit less, but not taken down. So good job as well by 300, at least on that attempt on defense. Gold accumulated by NGX is pretty nice. 1,000 gold ahead against NGX, and the items are resurfacing right now here. On their side, Divine Sunder, they almost the Blade of the Ruined King, and the stacking there for Demon Kite. Scaling is going to be a problem here against NGX because 300, yeah, they have the Lilia, but Jax is a Jax in the late game, man. It can do so much, and even in the series you watch and you casted with G10 earlier, the Jax did tremendous amount of damage mid to late game. That is something that Hyde can actually, or theoretically, what Hyde can do later on in this game.
Well, true. There are 2 types of Jax. The Jax that can scale well into the late game and goes uncontrolled, and the Jax that goes controlled with the crowd control available to your team. So the question is, will the amount of crowd control be enough for Jax to really be a menace? But
yeah, World Ender, and that life of Marky was ended indeed. Aaron's gonna trade this life as Joshi took a bit of a traffic going towards his location, but they will still continue. A flash in by Demon Kite, Simon Strike as well. That is a lot of commitment from Nigma Galaxy. The cast, the body slam, Exocen looking to turn things around. Chaz as well with a DPS, but it still wasn't enough. Donnie's Shadow for the extra shield allows Chaz to stay alive, but NGX still goes there with a possibly a team fight win there, since all the XP, all the attention was drawn towards top side as 300 looks to respond accordingly towards Hyde. Helios, nah, he backs away instead.
It was still so even though, Young. Again, this might be the closest 8-minute game that we have in the series. I'm still not 100% sure as to who's going to win. But you could see the potential, 300 going blow per blow against the lineup of NGX that was heavily reliant on the sustain. Executioners calling on 2 members, Bramble Vest even on Helios. So they want to make sure that on all portions of the map there will at least be one Grievous Wounds dealer. And that's actually a good decision, right? Especially with the sustain that is available for NGX.
And look at them, the amount of respect 300 is showing. And definitely, we have anticipated this, and we stated this out during the pick and ban phase. 4 Grievous Wound items present here on 300. Joshi being ganked tremendously, but the sustain is actually quite a bit. Look at the sustain, the heal there on the Joshi. He is still alive. Demon Kite is now here, and now they're punishing the overextension. Chaz is trying to go with the DPS once more, but at this state of the game, it's pretty much negligible. All those attempts for nothing, as Thanos said in that movie. And NGX, they have negated that attempt by 300.
That's a 4v3 that was turned around by the 3 people from NGX. I'm starting to believe that this lineup is busted. Because, bro, that shouldn't have been possible. Like, they have almost everything available to them. They have all the ultimates available for them to deal damage. Tatsuri, though, finds one exit kill. Aaron shouldn't be there in the first place, but still NGX with that massive win bot side, translating it into a Rift Herald. It's still starting to become, a theme here. NGX looks like the better team here, Giyang.
Yeah, the draft is just too creative. Execution, I'm even surprised that 300 that the Yuumi was allowed once again, especially that NGX got the Aatrox in their first pick. And now, I mean, even you said a while ago you wanted a Garen. That is how obnoxious this combination is. And I'm also in line with that. I wanted to see a Garen as well, but Aaron is doing really well with the Renekton too.
Yeah, it's more of, the Garen not with the Yuumi, but Garen against the Yuumi, just to provide that, killing blow, the Mushroom Justice execution.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I wanted, at least in this game, because basically what's happening right now is that she's just being allowed to heal again and again, right? With the Garen, I guess, in theory, you could silence down Just She and again pose the threat of that execute.
True.
But it's not here, so there's no reason for us to try to look for something that's not here. 300 with the tools that they have right now, they haven't proven as of yet that they can stand toe-to-toe against NGX's lineup. The lineup of NGX centered around the Bruisers and centered around the heals of Yuumi is just too much to handle for them. 300 though wants this dragon.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Thank you for the leash. NGX stated here. Just a quick drive by Joshi. And yeah, the Garen pick can be a good one, but like what you said, it will just be left onto the theory books of all our coaches in attempt to counter this demonic combination. Tatsuri running for his life, but will get pulled back there onto Joshi's hands. That's taking a bit of time. Demon Kite is so tanky at the state of the game, and now here comes the boss with the draw. Oh my, here comes the big boss indeed. NGX is just obliterating them. Once more, 300 now down to 99 as they die once and once more. NGX is just being unstoppable. 12 minutes in, 6,000 gold lead, a dragon stack, and possibly a chance, a ticket on getting this Baron.
And not just the Baron, but also a ticket to the WRL A group stages. There is a pause, and we have time to talk about this, Giyang. But, with the amount of gold lead that NGX has right now, I could easily say that, 300 is trying to scramble for something here to try to come back in this game. It's so hard looking at how the game has progressed so far. It's been all Aatrox, it's been all Yumi, and not just them, but also the other, the other pieces of the NGX puzzle has been so good. At least not just in this game, but also in this series. What a way to just dominate this upper bracket finals date between the 300 and NGX.
And what a pattern in as well being made. I mean, it's not yet concluded. 300 can still pull off a miracle. There are no strangers to it. Marky is still a beast as a player, and 300 is no strangers to comebacks as they did in game number 1. But given this composition, given the state of the game, given the momentum that NGX does have, the curtains are starting to close here for 300. Scaling is not only strong on 300 side, but also obnoxiously strong on Nigma Galaxy side. And we're not even taking into consideration the scaling, the demonic scaling of Ajax. Most of the time, we do see Just Chi, Aaron, and Demon Kite withdraw. What more if the Jax becomes online at a few minutes on?
Yeah, well, that's a side that no 300 fan want to imagine right now. Talking about the 300 though, they have pulled off miracles after miracles in the past, few years that we've been watching this set of guys. And yeah, that's what they definitely need right now. They need a miraculous team fight. They need to make sure they need, that saving grace moment, similar to what happened during game number 1, in where Marky was able to steal that Baron, because that's definitely a momentum shifter for your squad. And if there's anything, for about 300, is that if you give them an arm, they would be taking everything from you. And I believe we are almost ready here. We're going back into the game here, Giyang, with NGX, just to recap, dominating game number 4, and it's just, a couple of minutes away and a couple of good decisions away from qualifying themselves into the upcoming WRLA group stages.
Look at the amount of gold that Just She has. 13,403 on the scoreboard. The first to ever reach 5 digits of gold earning, even obnoxiously higher than everybody else, not only on 300 side, but on NGX side. That's how big of a lead Just She has in this game. 3 going 4 items in, almost completing his death dance, and later on he's gonna be getting that Guardian Angel once more, which I don't even think will be used in this game, similar to that previous game. 300, oh my. Okay, let's look into them right now. Look into their win conditions, because it's so blurry. I can't see any win conditions aside from a miracle late game power spike that they can have. Yeah, it's being taken away like a candy from a baby. NGX is just going ham on them, taking this tower as a bonus, continuing on to the team fight. Just She is basically unkillable, similar to the previous game, and they're just taking the life out of everybody. Chaz, the only member left inside alone in their base. NGX taking 2 towers simultaneously and is even attempting to just end this game. Chaz flashes in, doesn't have the lilting lullaby. I mean, he opts to do it. Gets a double kill. Wow, triple. Wait, what? 300? Okay, Chaz. Okay. Chaz just extended the game here for 300. Well played.
Wait. Just a couple of seconds before, some of his teammates go live here. They are in a very good position to secure this Baron, to extend this game overall. It still is going to be very risky though, because Aaron is coming up alive, and I believe almost every single member of NGX is ready to buy the teleport boots should they need it. Chaz is still in the area. No, it's just going to be for vision. Now we'll try to set up a death rush. We'll see though if someone will catch bait.
Okay, yeah, that is a strat indeed, if ever they do opt to do that. 300, definitely with a miraculous play there for Chaz, securing that triple kill. With all those swings he made onto the members of NGX just to drive them away from the Nexus and saving the game here for 300. At least for a bit of time. But still, NGX being ahead, Baron is available for the taking, and I don't think 300 is in condition to contest. Tatsuri is gonna get chased away, but
Chaz?
is interfered
Oh,
here on the other side. This time, Chaz, you've done so much in that previous fight. We'll take you first away in this fight. NGX now, without the Lilia to threaten them, they continue to march forward and onward to the members of 300. Hook shot away, but gets exhausted and slowed down by Demon Kite. He is still able to fall back, but this gives possibly a free Baron for NGX, but
they're
their
pinging the
pace.
dragon. They're
Yeah,
pinging the
maybe the
dragon
dragon.
and has their sights over. But look at Aaron. Still wants to make a play using that lasting cone. Goes in.
Oh, immediate burst there onto Marky. He is deleted in an instant. They just want to get those kills. Tatsuri is just gonna be falling down onto the hands here of NGX. Ooh, okay, Aaron, a bit of a blooper there as he gets shut down as well.
The hero?
So, one
All
member
right.
down, lilting Lullaby. Chaz, can he be looking for that engage? He actually goes in with Helios.
Chaz is
Can
so
he actually get the shutdown? This is 1,000 gold, and Chaz has done it. Now with a big shutdown on the
Okay.
Jersey, a big shutdown and a double kill by Chaz. 300. They are still breathing. They are still chanting here in this game. Maybe, just maybe, miracles are starting to emerge here for 300.
Yep. Again, finding those exit kills based off of over-aggression from NGX. 300 refuses to surrender. And again, Chaz being allowed to dish out a huge amount of damage. I'm now starting to think that this Lilia is also a busted champion. So, is Lilia broken?
You
Looks
have
like it.
so many. I mean, if we talk about Lilia, so much DPS is present on his passive. You have as well that Leandris, Riftmaker for the excess sustain. And even as the wow, okay, you have the hat, the Rabadon's death cap already, and possibly more magic penetration to be purchased here by Chaz. Suddenly, the tremendous amount of gold lead that Joshi has is now pretty close to what Chaz has overall, just down 2,500 at the 18th minute mark. This is a tremendous amount of comeback that 3,800 actually has made in this game. Wow.
And now NGX has basically bought themselves teleport enchants, not really stasis enchants. And again, the later this game goes, the better the chances are for the squad of 300. They're still putting up a fight. We all know this set of guys with the Nexus still alive, and now with the first inhibitor that I'm going to cast to respawn in 30 seconds. There's a possibility of 300 to come back in this game. Chaz, though, in XSN has to be careful. Umbral Chains missing.
Man, NGX, we're starting to see them struggle for the first time in this game.
Wait, Baron?
Not going ham onto them, but a sneaky Baron being initiated here by
check
Joshi.
it, please!
Oh,
Okay,
you
alright,
gotta
so
check
they're
it,
going
man.
to
You gotta
Oh,
check
okay.
it. Here comes the queue.
Okay.
Yeah, they do realize, oh, they're making a cheesy attempt on the Baron. But now, as we do see on the mini screen, inhibitor now respawning here for 300, buying them a chance to stall this game even more
No,
once again. Helios, though. Hook shot,
Chaz is
he backs
seeing
away,
her.
Chaz is in the vicinity. Joshi has to fall back. That is a complete 5 members of 300 grouping around here against
look at
NGX. But
Marky.
NGX actually is attempting to go, and Joshi is being the front line. He even invests the flash. Now the cast is being used to at least this members of NGX, but it's not affecting them so far in this fight. Tatsuri tries to fall back. Chaz is doing work in the front line a while ago, but now is opted to back away.
Joshi's
Now
dead.
without the Lilia, NGX is going ham. Joshi actually fell
No.
down. This is
It's the
bad
other way
for
around.
NGX. They have to fall back, retreat, but 300 now will not let them fall back. For the first time in this 20-minute game, we see 300 winning a team fight.
And is en route to basically get themselves an Elder Dragon 300 with again a miraculous team fight in their favor, forcing the hand of NGX, surrendering this big objective. And this could be a comeback waiting to happen, Giyang. Again, it all started
Oh my God.
with Marquis being pounced upon. He did preemptively flashed, but just she going inside. Remember, I actually wanted to talk about whoa, okay, look at the experience. They wanted to make sure that the 5 members of 300 will have the buff. They waited for their teammates to respawn, not like my teammates in rank game. Oh my god, this is just a classic game. 300 refusing to die once again.
And they want to get that buff for every single member on their team, fully equipped this time to contest NGX not only on a Baron fight, but any fight in general. 300, wow, against all odds. And look at the gold. Now dead, flat even. 300 has just made possibly the second biggest comeback in the series. And NGX, they did not expect this to happen the second time.
True, and the thing that they have a dragon advantage plus the other dragon, it's safe to say that 300, regardless of what gold lead you see in the graphic screen right now, they are winning. 300 is now poised to take down this tower and is now going to force the hands of NGX and trying to take down this inhibitor tower as well. 300 wants the team fight. They're very good in fights, but right now NGX, still very disciplined, is not going to catch bait.
Yeah, but the 300, they're the ones being proactive. They're the ones starting the Baron this time for the first time around. She is just around the vicinity. But AE is gonna be respected here by 300 as they fall back. But Hextech ultimatum onto hide. If he dies, that is gonna be tremendously disastrous for NGX. But he is still able to fall back. 300 as well fall back from the Baron as they get the consolation prize though. First inhibitor destroyed by 300 in this game. For the first time, they have penetrated the base of NGX.
Mission accomplished for 300, and again, the inhibitor has already respawned, so no Mega Minions will respawn on the side of NGX. Meanwhile, a freshly minted Mega Minion would popped up in the bottom lane, which actually would help 300's quest to get the priority in the map in threatening this Baron. But my god, Giyang, a couple of minutes ago, I was already ready to crown NGX and to welcome NGX over to the WRL group stages. But man, oh man, 300 and their will to live is just so good.
Oh my, the tenacity, the endurance, the battle attrition of 300, well deserving of their name as a team. And Chaz being the Leonidas of the group, that's basically saved the game earlier twice in a row. I mean, that fight in the Nexus of 300 started it all. The swing around, the comebacks, and this is what we love even on boxing or any fighting game event. Those teams that are beaten down so hard in the first interactions of the fight suddenly starts being the one to throw those punches, throw those kicks, and possibly even turn around the game, the fight. 300 is just doing it right now. They're the ones ahead by 4,000. They're the ones engaging. Hexic ultimatum gonna be used. And here comes Chaz.
Here comes Chaz.
Shadow gonna be used. Boom. They get the first blood in this fight this time. NGX are crippled in numbers. Guardian Angel is not gonna save you, buddy. As Aaron falls down to the ground as well. 300 is definitely doing it. 5 versus 3. They are sprinting their way towards the Nexus. They want to end this. They want a game number 5. NGX is trying their best, but they can do it as 300 is just chanting awoo, 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 and they are massacring the members of NGX. They want a game number 5, and they are gonna get it.
Jesus, Chaz My God, what a win by the 300, forcing a game number 5. And you know what's missing here? Player action cam. Because I'm going to bet, you know, every single one of these players are just shouting on top of their lungs. And my God, what a comeback. A classic, El Clasico, between the Philippines' best two teams.
Oh my God, El Clasico indeed. And this is one of the reasons why we have been saying to you guys, top tier, save the best for last. This series has been the best, and the first time ever we are seeing a game number 5. Here we see the highlights on, oh my gosh, this game. So exciting to see, so confusing to see, so upsetting. It depends on your perspective if you're a 300 or an fan. But one thing is for sure, it's jam-packed with action, attrition, and heart. And 300 definitely has heart to turn things around no matter how hard this game has gotten. Chaz, oh my. Same as Marky on my reaction earlier. This time, Chaz, save the game and possibly the series here of 300.
Yep. I mean, look at Chaz though, just healing back up, and once he comes back in, it's basically you know, a different game. Chaz again with the inhibitor being there to protect. Many of this plays was unlocked by 300's ability to buy time, and this was the game-winning play. Overall, that's really finding two Helios with the Exec ultimatum, and look at the eat from Chaz from downtown. Just too much. And yeah, AP damage, broken Lilia. I like what I'm seeing. Game number 5, PM.
I love this. The first time we have seen Lilia in this day as well, and it transition. It allowed 300 to win this game. It became the kryptonite of the unkillable Demon Lord of Joshi and Draw combination of the Aatrox and Yuumi. Wow, I'm excited to see the stats. My God, 44,000 damage on Chaz. Can you get even higher than that, Chaz?
I bet he can, but yeah, maybe on a different day. But this is Chaz with a vintage performance on this champion. Many times has he saved RRQ in their quest of getting multiple wins. But man, oh man, crazy numbers from Chaz, better performance from Tatsuri, and again, a game plan that was doubted at first by you, myself, and even the viewers. Yeah. But hey, you know what? Like, if there's one way to counter this Aatrox lineup that they have, it's to just bombard them with a huge amount of AP damage. Because looking at the itemization of Joshi at the, you know, when you know the comeback was starting to happen, the Guardian Angel wasn't there, and then what he did was to sell the Death's Dance in favor of I think that was the Spirit's Visage. After the Spirit's Visage was built, then he went for the Guardian Angel. But you know, so much of that intricacy of the details on the side of NGX. But then again, you know, we cannot do anything but sing praises of this guy. Chaz just carried the 300 out of the hell that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
For game number 5s. Maybe our viewers have some idea to give us what battle anthem you would love to hear whenever this happens. But whatever battle anthem that is, it should be as electrifying as what we are seeing right now here.
Definitely, and it's speaking of electrifying. Oh my, this is just too insane. And right now, we're seeing a switcheroo once again. I mean, after so many games, we do see a switcheroo this time. 300 is on the blue side. They have first pick priority. I am actually looking really forward into this. NGX, they are respecting not only the Gwen, the Aatrox, even the Fiora so many respect being made here. GX, they have to try a different strategy this time in this final game in the series. 300 is still going with what worked for them in their previous game. And game number 4, Helios is back again for the fourth time in a row. Camille, first pick.
Yep, and then removing right away is the Galio of Exos, and NGX is not willing to go the route of G2 Blacklist, in where G2 Blacklist just opened this champion to the side of Exos, and this is also a very good response coming from NGX. Take away the ribbon, because Tatsuri was also very commendable in game number 4 on this champion. Much more effective than the other champions that he played in the past 2 games, or maybe games. No Ziggs for Marquee. No Senna for Marquee. That is going to be the karma. Or maybe, you know, this is still a very, very champion that you can still play in the middle lane. We'll see, though.
Possibly something to opt for team fighting as well. Counter engage. And so many supplementary utilities here with the Karma against NGX. Full-on dive composition. So far, first 2 picks, they will pick up the Ziggs as well to add that big burst of a magic damage with the Mega Inferno Bomb. So now, looking at their picks, jungle side, I mean, their picks is also quite flexing with the even the Camille and the Wukong, so things can still switch around here on their side. 300 and NGX, man, I'm still even having chills from the previous game on how well, I can't even think of a word to describe that game, because it's so. Yeah,
you know what? I really think that, you know, the Lilia performance by Chaz earlier is something that 300 wanted to hide, just in case. But because it is all for marbles and their backs being against the wall, Coach Aigu's hands were forced, right? All right, I think it's time for us to bring out the Lilia. Is it another opening for a Lilia champion here, or Lilia pickup here for 300? It is very much possible, right? Lee Sin has been banned away, Rakan and Gragas as well. So even the Kazakhs is not going to slide. They don't want Just Chi to have his hands on the very aggressive champion that can really dictate the early game onto the mid game. So yeah, the tables are really open for the side of NGX. What would Just Chi play? They want Just Chi on the Yone.
Yeah. Just Chi on the Yone. This is gonna be his 4th different champion to be used in this game. If ever, yeah, he is gonna be opting that Yone. 300 this time. We'll get the Z here for Chaz, and have that quick single target burst with a combination of the Camille. So kind of a good intention here, and
what would be the support
for them as well? I mean,
Nautilus. Okay.
Yeah.
Now for good. NGX, they need to find a champion that can bring the Serpent's Fang into play, because of the amount of shields that is available for the side of the 300. There's a lot of value being that you can find in the Serpent's Fang. And looking at the lineup of NGX, it does appear that there is going to be no one that has a natural way of building the item. So this is going to be interesting. Just on paper, I'm liking what 300 has in their lineup. The Karma Nautilus is always going to be superior when it comes to, you know, the extended team fights. The burst is there, however, for NGX. But again, the question for NGX is, will they sacrifice one champion to really build the Serpent's Fang?
They do have a lot of engage and bursting power. 300 has a lot of holding power with the Camille, with the Nautilus, even with the Karma, the Wukong. The burst capability of this is going to be very tricky to execute though on team fights, because all those damage is or most of those damage rather is designed for single target unless they find a way to integrate that for fighting one at a time on these hyper scaling champions of NGX. Late game is definitely going to be scary here on NGX side, as 300 will need to do so in the early game. So eyes on Chaz once more. This miracle boy should look for more miracles this time, not only in the late game as the previous game, but this time in the early game.
We'll see. I'm just so excited, Gil. Can't wait for this game number 5 to commence. Whoever wins this basically deserves it, right? NGX has proven to be the better team overall. For games 1, 2, 3, and 4, I feel that NGX prepares more, or has the better preparation, has the better execution. But when it comes to the end game decision making, that's where the 300 shines over and over again, right? With their hashtag reign supreme. We'll see if this game number 5 would go their way.
We as gaming fans, as players, as gamers, and as supporters for tournaments like this, especially the high competitive ones, we're always fond of comebacks, of unexpected happenings. I recall myself the live stream of SKT T1 against EDG on their comeback, the 10,000 or more goal lead that they were experiencing, and one team fight to change it all. And this one, that we do see it as well in their very own fashion. Mid lane, Aaron and Tatsuri are again swinging blows at each other, pretty standard for them. And yeah, this game is definitely possibly the highest amount of pressure that these teams are experiencing right now in the series.
True, and now Tatsuri is in peril.
Flash
has been burnt here, and the third broken wing was ready for Aaron to really get the head of Tatsuri. Tatsuri is just struggling overall against Aaron in the laning phase. We saw earlier Aaron winning this matchup with the Wukong getting the first blood, but at least in this game, Tatsuri again struggling against Aaron. Just she's in the area, and so is Draw. Look at NGX, baby, this mid laner.
Yeah, ooh, that's going to be very, very scary. Aaron is sticking as well. A change of a mid laners, or an exchange of mid laners rather. First blood secured by both teams. But what's happening right now is NGX being contested by 300. Yep. This is a good sign actually by 300. They're kind of expecting early game aggression now from NGX, and slowly but sure they're being able to adapt.
True. We're going to see as to how this next few games would, or this next few minutes would turn out. NGX getting the first blood in return, though XSN being there with the ignite, getting that return kill. But the overall advantages, at least in the first few minutes of the game here, NGX was able to secure the scuttle grab in the bot lane. We'll see though. Yeah, Chaz will also get that scuttle grab on the top side of the map. My God, I'm trying to control my emotions right now, and I'm trying to wait for the big one here, Giyang. But if I'm feeling the tension right now, how much more the players here are feeling like double, triple the pressure that I'm feeling right now. So I'm just watching right now. I'm just casting their game, but I'm really having a lot of fun.
The players and the coaches. I can recall watching TG's stream last night, watching his game of his team, and the amount of emotions and overall emotions that he is showing in his live stream is crazy. What more in this game, in this against 300, one of the closest and possibly the most frustrating game as well that they're right now, series rather, against 300.
Okay, so I've hit the reset button, and basically I'm going all logic now. I will be emotional later, but looking at the draft, also one thing I would love to commend for 300, as we see Draw. No, that's Helios. He should have the patience and discipline to make sure that no gank would happen to his side. The cannon minion though is very scary. Hexic ultimatum. There you go.
Wow, the action time there by Helios, and Draw. Normally you
V3.
invest the flash. It wasn't of this time. And looking at Chaz, yeah, he is in the vicinity. Joshi is they are gonna be falling back for the meantime. A handshake, a gentleman's agreement in the top side, forcing the or at least settling down and toning down as well in their now.
And just to finish about Tatsuri's Wukong. We've seen many times that Tatsuri was caught under the tower in the side lanes whenever these transitions happen. And being on the Wukong, at least you will have the access to the Cyclone, to the decoy, to try to outplay all those dives. So I kind of like the idea of putting Tatsuri on this Wukong if you are playing him on the weak side of the map. It just so happened that 300 is so confident in playing Helios on the strong side, and that's okay, right? That's been the identity of the team. We'll see though. Chaz has already completed the Serpent's Fang, which is an item that I would love to see on NGX side. So we'll see.
Serpent's 500 NGX early anti-healing item for Aaron as well. Lots of respect are being shown here by both teams as we reach into the 5th-minute mark. Most peaceful 5-minute mark or 5 elapsed the whole series. It's about to be changed though as NGX is starting the Ocean Dragon and 300 instead of trading with them on the RH, they are going to be contesting. Exosen is taking a bit of crowd control as
Look at
now
Tatsuri.
Draw goes golden, has to pass away. That knock-up is gonna be huge as Draw falls down as the wind slash by Aaron as he looks to deal some damage here in the front line. Joshi is coming on top, securing a double kill before he falls down. Aaron as well. Marky is all alone inside. It flashes away.
Tether?
Can he tether onto 2? Demon Kite is in front of him though and can actually take the kill. Auto attack away. Lots of shield by Marky, especially with that barrier. Good job at the very least, but NGX still made most out.
True, and Hyde was left on an island. I'm not 100% sure if that was a solo kill against Helios, or if Helios was actually part of that skirmish in the Dragon. But I was actually focusing on Tatsuri and his ability to read NGX's decision making and making sure that the exit paths won't be there. But just Chi's ability to dish out damage is still so good. And again, the early game, much like the other games that we have here, Giyang, it's on NGX's side.
Yeah, early game for sure. That's pretty much something that has been consistent all throughout the series. The ending may be different, but the early game has always been NGX getting a couple of victories and a couple of gold lead. This time it's gonna be 3,000 despite the RH being on in the top side. Make it 3 as the tower falls down on top side as well. NGX does have 2 though, so in terms of structures, they're the ones who are ahead given their utmost aggression all throughout the map. 300 for more picks now since Chaz is getting his items as well as Helios.
Exosen has to be more accurate though with his scale shots. I feel that those dredge lines should hit its mark, especially the later this game goes. But 300, that's basically the way it goes. The first few minutes they're heating up, and by the time that it reaches the 15-minute mark, 18-minute mark, they just elevate their play style to a different level. So this is just this just has been the theme of game number 5. And if game number 5 would be any different, or of this series, I mean, and if game number 5 would be any different, it will some of a bit disappointing. So NGX and 300 still just playing to their win conditions.
Getting the aggression, gold funneling has been on point too. Joshi and Aaron has gotten them quite a lot of kills and assists as well. And if we compare their gold against the respective enemies, Chaz and Tatsuri are actually down by 3,000 gold. Now, Draw actually engages with the Justice, but immediately bursts down Chaz in an instant. and 300 are forced back once more. Aaron is actually being very, very confident against Tatsuri, going in, forces Tatsuri to use his clone in order to escape. But looking at the side, Joshi is here. Nice dredge line by Exosen, but that's a lot of crowd control that NGX actually has. Under the tower, though, gonna be quite difficult. They're now collapsing and exiting. They lose Joshi. Here comes Here's on the side. They drop up. Oh, that Q by Morty is so good. Now they punish. NGX may have a big oopsie and a mistake here against 300.
Again, the stasis play, the amount of shields that is available. Chaz going in. Megan for the bomb misses its mark. The tower targeting Chaz, still alive. And my god, in the first few minutes, 300 evens the pressure that is being put. NGX was able to defend the tower in the process and also get a tower for themselves.
They throw a return blow against NGX a little bit earlier in this game. 9-minute mark, NGX overextended under the tower. They took a lot of damage and Draw actually had to use the stasis and still fell down. 300 knew that the position favors them and continued onto that fight, marching on. Still 2,000 gold lead or 1.5 on NGX, but 300 is now a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, there was no reason for them to attempt the dive under 2 towers. If it was Aatrox, yeah, I would understand. But just she's, first of all, they invested a lot to get that pick off against Chaz. I also did see Fate Seal being committed by Chashi. So in that interaction alone, with your Yone not having access to your ultimate, that basically is just a greedy play overall coming from NGX. That's their identity, though. That's how they love to play. And now 300 is showing that they can now punish those overextensions by NGX. The first few minutes of the game, and look at this. They now have dibs to this Rift Herald. NGX, they're sending Hyde on the other side of the map. The pressure is on for them to at least take another tower.
Yeah, normally at this state of the game, we see NGX attempting to take double objectives, but this time they lose the Rift Herald. They transition towards the bot side. Hyde is dealing tremendous amount of damage though onto the tower, and will take it for himself. Aaron is here. Hextech ultimatum denied, but they draw out. Draws Hero's entrance. Oh my god! That's quick turnaround! In NGX, they go ham! 300 is resisting though, especially with the help of the Karma. And they turn on to them. Aaron is fleeing. Demon Kite is backing away. A double kill by Marky, and suddenly NGX got surprised there in their surprise attack.
I mean, Mian did not expect Draw to do a quick draw moment there. That's like the staple of Draw, right? You know, going for the aggressive plays when you least expect it. But you know what I least expected from this? Tatsuri having access to the teleport enchant 11 minutes into the game.
Oh my god.
Have been made possible. I've never seen that before in Wild Rift competitive. And that might have just saved 300s and booked their ticket to WRLA.
Yeah, and for the first time ever, we are seeing 100 being, or at least being ahead for a glimpse of a moment there. 12-minute mark, and this is significant because most of the time, NGX being ahead by around 7,000 at 12-minute marks. This time, 3 is resisting, just like an AI, slowly adapting and slowly polishing his movements. 300 with experience, they are mustering every strength they have and resisting NGX.
Yeah, they are called 300 GPT now, huh? Let's go for some AI references. My Exo said, no, don't do this, Exo. Exo, though, is still very tanky.
Oh, denied! Cancelled! Oh, Dredge Line is cancelled. 300, though, is trying to follow up. Rampage by Marky. The damage is just too much coming in from the Karma. And NGS, they are not expecting this, but here comes Hyde in the front line. Helios is very low. A double kill by Chaz on the back line, but has to rejoin the team. They don't need him. Chaz is there. Helios' tactical sweep is all enough to save his life, ticking by a margin. I don't need his HP bar anymore, but he is still alive. and 300 is breathing and now pushing into the mid lane. Chaz going in, but a little out of range there for the death mark.
Yeah, that's true. My God, again, I believe so much damage was mitigated by the shields that is being thrown out here by Marky. At this rate, with Unstoppable already available for Marky, you can imagine the amount of shields that he's putting out with all the AP items that he now has by now. And still, if we look at the inventory, NGX has 0 Serpent Fangs. So this was the solution by the Vietnamese team earlier to the Karma Nautilus. You go for a Varus, you go for a champion that can build Serpent's Fang. And there you go. Looking at the items, no Serpent's Fang whatsoever for NGX.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 300 is just enjoying the sustain that they can get from Marky.
And they're even the ones who have the Serpent's Fang earlier, the Virus, right? We saw the damage. I can recall you and Jitan reacting to the incredible amount of damage from the piercing arrow of that Varus, and it's all because of that Serpent's Fang, the shield negation.
Shit.
Now, without that on
That
NGX,
mark.
it's
Okay.
pretty much
Sonyas?
so difficult. They commit onto that punish for Joshi, and Joshi is indeed punished. Tatsuri right now is tanking quite a bit of damage.
right,
Staying in
Tatsuri.
the front line, pops the
And-
golden and evades that hero's entrance. But now with the shielding of Marky, it's still not enough. Tatsuri dies. And the Camille goes in under the tower,
One more
misses
bomb.
the damage,
Okay.
gets punished. NGX is throwing their very own punches. And 300, they felt that. They back away for now to trade. Okay, we're dead even. But NGX, they're being pressured right now with a mid-side push.
Denmark available for Chaz here. Can go for Draw's head, but remember Draw still has the Stasis Ancient, and 300 wisely goes for the tower, backs away, spends those unspent gold, and basically get the resources that they need to really help them catapult themselves into the lead. Looking into the gold disparity right now, you would think that 300 is well in the lead, but it's actually not just, it's not too big of a gold lead. Looking at, I'm just looking at the 1k gold lead here for the side of 300.
In the retrospect of things, NGX and 300 are still close. They're still dead
they're
even.
even.
We're just they're seeing so many fights all
Yeah.
throughout the map, and
I think one thing that I can take away here is that, yes, the game is even, but 300 is playing it as if like they are 5k ahead, right? The aggressiveness, the guidance of 300 is not what we have seen in the early stages of games 1, 2, 4. So this is a different 300, and now they are doing what they are best at, which is basically to control the vision game. Exosen and company. Is there anyone that can face check for the side of NGX? Well, you can use Yone, Soul Unbound to face check and to do some information gathering for you. But basically, this is a playstyle of NGX. They have surrendered access to the Infernal Dragon, and they are basically on the coattails of Hyde. They want Hyde to carry NGX to the Promised Land.
you know what I'm thinking about this right now? ROR Adam versus Zeus, throwing punches at each other in their final moments. The first person
Hero's entrance
to
too.
lose at their
It's a
limit
miss.
will fall down. Yeah, Hero's entrance actually was used quite early, and this is gonna be forcing NGX to lose quite a big of a utility for their lineup. 300 is a little bit scattered. Tatsuri is still
Second
on
farm bomb,
line, but
Exosen.
Exosen actually took a bit of damage. They're spread across the map.
Okay.
Helios is chasing Aaron. That's a quick turnaround by Draw to save Aaron.
Very good
Big
draw.
reaction, fast reactions here by NGX, and they might have punished Helios for it. Now Tatsuri is being forced back. There's a lot of bombs there by Demon Kai. 300 again,
RT.
re-engages. Aaron's gonna get punished. Shaz gets a double kill. NGX, they're being forced back. Hyde though
This-
will not fall back. He goes right in. Demon Kai as well supplements the damage. A counter strike will not counter the magic damage, buddy. And 300, they go back away with only Marky standing alive. NGX, they live for the moment. They win it by a small margin.
I love Wild Rift Esports. This is as wild as it can get, Kiyoung. And it started with Exos and not being able to mitigate as much damage as he wants. He was late in using the stasis engine, and so he was bursted down right away. Meanwhile, the min-max, maximizing the potential of all these champions, the skill cap, the mechanics of all these players, my god. All the punches. I can't think of who's going to win here. It's so even. The 300 is now 2k behind. NGX winning that team fight at the backs of a very good positioning from Hyde and Demon Kite.
Who's gonna fall down first? Who's gonna break form first? Who's gonna fall down first? We don't know. Both of them are just we're about to be the first one. We're falling at our feet from our chairs right now due to the immense action here from both 300 and NGX.
Sure. Like even all the Philippines, not just viewers that we have out here, but also Wild Rift esports fans worldwide is just basically out of their seats, man. This is just a different game that we're seeing. Let's backtrack a bit. Hyde's ability to influence the late game is slowly being realized. Just one half item away from having that complete item. However, he has the teleport. He doesn't have the stasis engine. Just Shido, very aggressive, has to fate seal away from harm's way. That's 20 minutes already in the game timer, which means it's time for the Elder Dragon.
Quick prediction there by Exosen, and well, a little bit of a commercial. To think that this is a finals, upper bracket finals, but this seems like the grand finals for season 1. That's the vibe that this game is giving right now. And 300 and NGX, kudos to them. They're being very tenacious all throughout the series. And this is over 100 minutes invested in the series in total here. And both teams are not being scathed. Both teams are still being very efficient in their farming, in their ganking, and even in the little bits of time that they are in this game. Even in the drafting phase, everything is on point, down to the bans on the champion of Justy. They are just being staying strong here for both teams. And now, Elder Dragon, part of the mix. No teams are attempting to partake in the Baron and the Elder because they know if one starts, the other team will collapse and engage. So they're waiting for the first person to make a mistake. And like what you and G10 has mentioned, and even Osiris yesterday, this game is all about mistakes. Whoever makes the first mistake, just like in chess, will be tipped off.
We'll see though. It's an engage coming from Just Chi, and that's the death mark following through a hero's entrance.
Draw! Wow! So swift on that move, and now that's a lot of damage, especially by Demon Kite. Now in the front line, Hills is trying to do some work here. Josh is quite low as well. Aaron in the front line goes golden, but might have to trade his life. Never mind! Draw is there to protect his comrade. They punish Tatsuri. They get Exosen as well. NGX with numbers advantage and with 2 people dead on 300. This might be the ticket of NGX to get.
And this could just have won them the game. It's not over yet. Chaz is still in the area. We have seen miraculous steals from this guy, Helios, trying to face check against Draw. Elder Dragon secured.
Yeah, NGX has it. And 300, they lose their grip. They're the ones who first feels dizzy and makes a little bit of a miscalculation in that fight. 3 people are dead. NGX grouping in the mid. They have been threatened so many times of a comeback here for 300. But this can be the best possible case for them to finally prevent that odds from happening.
Just looking at that team fight, I believe that Suri was a bit too greedy. He waited for the stasis engine to expire, and with no cyclone stack available, Tatsuri really had no business in overstaying in that team fight. Such a big blunder from the mid laner of 300, Exosen and Tatsuri, both dying in the process, and now NGX has full control of the game. Elder Dragon buff, Baron buff, and 23 minutes in. Is there going to be another miracle to the side of 300? We have seen 299 miracles so far, but they need the 300th miracle in this game.
How many miracles can you manifest, 300? This is where you need it the most. The match point, the final game in this 5 series. NGX knocking on the doors. 2 inhibitors destroyed already. And an Elder Dragon and the Baron buff secured. This is the Exodia that they have needed. This is the moment you have been waiting
Power
for.
lock.
X-Tick ultimatum on the backside, but they focus on the Nexus. You can't defy us twice, but third time we will strive and we will prevail. NGX remains a stronger one and will be qualified for Season 1.
Congratulations to Nigma Galaxy booking their seats over to WRL group stage as a very well-deserved representation from the Philippines. And I do know that, you know, Nigma Galaxy ended up the winners of this game, but more to that, I don't have any words to describe what big of a series that was. Not just for NGX, but to the whole WR esports team. It was just a classic between these two teams. They're giants here, Guillaume, and I just don't have any more words to really describe what I feel right now for these two teams.
I have one, and it's wow. wow. Such an incredible performance here by both of these teams. I don't even care about the result. I care about the action and the energy and the amount of wonderful experience we have. Well, experience in this series and in this game. We saw them fight, clash, go head to head one more time, trade blows against each other, reach their very limits of their limits. And we saw NGX staying at their form better than 300 at the very last part of that game. Commendable efforts still for 300. It is close to impossible. It shouldn't even be possible to pull off 2 miraculous comebacks in a single series, but they have done it. They have defied expectations against a team that defies logic, but they cannot do it the third time around. NGX again went with what works for them, and they have stood able in this final game.
Actually, wanted to look into this last team fight that really decided the outcome of this game. Look at Draw, very decisive again. This is like a quick Draw moment. The identity of Draw and what separates him from other supports here in the region. But I would love to also highlight this thing. Tatsuri overstaying, waiting for Aaron's stasis to just time out. But with the mobility of the Ribbon, with the shields available, that overstay by Tatsuri was not needed at all by the 300. It was the best series so far today. It's kind of something that we expected whenever we see these two teams face against each other. The late game damage of these Ziggs will almost always, be better than a Karma damage. And also you have Hyde as their late game insurance champion. But overall, I feel that the MVP of that game was Draw. Man, like Draw did a lot of things for NGX. You could give it to Jesji, you could give it to Mankai, but I feel that Draw was a stabilizing factor for NGX.
Draw was the one who tipped the balance, who shake things up, made things unpredictable for 300. Because we described in something like an AI, right? And they're starting to get a grasp on what's happening. They're starting to get the pattern. But NGX, with Draw switching things up and suddenly surprising them, it wasn't in their algorithm, it wasn't in their formula. Draw suddenly going in with the Justice Punch, with the Shield of the Run, and suddenly flashing in a drift of a champion on this Galio, and allows them to initiate so good on the team fight, paired up with the Mega Inferno Bomb, and it's just too much to handle. Demon Kite is still gonna be the MVP here, but well played by